This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go!
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fins for life, we throw the folk. Singing this just to welcome bro.
What's up, baby?
Time to grind, time to shine.
How y'all doing? Good morning. That is right. It is Monday, April the 17th, and I'm hanging out with y'all, my Finlaws, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. What is going on? How y'all doing today? I'm your host, Stephen D, SKPL. How y'all doing? What's up? Y'all are here. How's it going? Good morning to my Finlaws and my family with a PH, that is. I'll say hello to everybody that's in the chat so far this morning. We got Jaquez, what's up? Adam Sadowski, Trucker Sean, Chef Zhu, Flipside Fishing, Shake Money. What's going on? Kane's 1989 is in the building. Super excited to see y'all, man. It is Victory Monday here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I'm your host, Stephen D. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Love the Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me up there. Also, follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter, where we're at MIA Sports Music. Make sure you all do that there. On your way in, make sure you hit that like button. Hit the like button, okay? Doesn't cost anything. Hit the like button. It's free. Just tap it. Tap it. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe to the channel, that little bell notification, make sure you hit that bell notification. And the reason for that, anytime we go live, we want you to get notified. Anytime the new Solo D drops his music, some Dolphin music, some Heat music, some Canes music, you get notified, okay? So make sure you all hit that bell notification. That way you get notified. Anything new drops to the podcast network right here on YouTube. Hey, look, if you want to sign up and become a member today, there are plenty of seats at the table for you. We would love to see you sign up and become a member today and become part of the, you guys ready? Family. That's right, family. Want to see you guys become part of the family. We're trying to get it up. I'm actually going to be revamping it this week. I want you to obviously sign up, and that's what we're going to do. But be on the lookout for a new revamped membership. We're going to get Patreon involved. We're going to get the YouTube membership. Everything's going to be a little bit different. So be on the lookout. We're trying to come up with really great ways to get fan interaction and get the podcast network, obviously, to a level that is beyond like all podcast networks on YouTube. We want to be #1, and we can't do that without your help. So sign up and become a member today, and be on the lookout for the new membership that'll be coming out real soon. And I'm going to be working on that a lot this week, so it's going to be really, really cool. So make sure y'all check that out. What else we got, man? What else do we got up in here? Hey, if you want to help the channel grow by donating, lots of different ways you can do that. You can use the YouTube live super chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat. You guys can hit that and hit super chat or super sticker, whatever it is you want, and you guys can click that while we're live right now, and you can donate to the channel, whether it's $1, $2, $50, $10, it doesn't matter. It goes again, it's able to support the channel. And if you're able to do it, it helps. Okay. A couple of other different ways to support the channel financially. You can use Cash App, which is $MSM Podcast Network, or the QR code right on your screen, or PayPal, MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code right on your screen. If you're rewatching this on replay, you can use the YouTube Super Thanks. YouTube Super Thanks is a great tool that if you're rewatching this, right below the screen here on YouTube, you'll see a heart with a $ in the middle of that heart. You guys can click that. That's the Super Thanks on YouTube rewatching. And you guys can do that there. Okay. So it should be good. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the number one place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard to find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. And Tail Greeter. We love Tail Greeter. Download the app today on your current Apple or Android devices. Make sure you all do it at Tail Greeter. Make sure you all do that. It's a big deal. Okay. Want to give a big shout out to what we're going to be doing with Tail Greeter this year. I actually had a really good conversation with them this weekend. Let me tell you, we got some big things coming up in Washington, D.C. this year for the FedEx Takeover. Miami Sports Music Tail Greeter. We're going to be putting on an awesome event for the Washington Commanders Miami Dolphins game. So make sure you guys check that out. We're also going to be doing one in Philadelphia for the Philly Invasion. That's right. Philly Invasion, Miami Sports Music and Tail Greeter will be doing one there. And just like we did this past year, we'll be doing it again this year. The Baltimore Beatdown in Baltimore. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be good stuff. All right. Want to remind you guys, every day of the week here on the channel, we got a different show for you because we like to take care of you. It's Victory Monday. Why? Because every day here is a win. Just by you waking up this morning and hanging out with us. Mondays are always going to be called Victory Mondays. If we happen to lose during the season, it might be a Therapy Monday, but otherwise it's always a Victory Monday because every day is a win here at Miami Sports Music. Hot Take Tuesdays with our co-hosted by Nando Talk with Nando Talk. We love Nando Talk. Make sure you go check him out on his channel, as well as when he comes over here and hangs out with us and hosts over here with us. Wildin' Out Wednesday, one of the best shows and days of the week. Why is it? Because, Wildin' Out Wednesday is a Dolph fan-controlled panel show. You guys control the narrative. Anything you guys want, you guys get right here on the podcast network. We love it. Wildin' Out Wednesday, hashtag Dolphin Chat. You guys control the narrative of the show. And then Throwback Thursday, co-hosted with Cameron Scott of East 32 Dolphins Tailgate. Always some good conversation up there. We talk baseball. We talk a little bit of everything, and obviously always Miami Dolphins. And then last but certainly not least, Spread Kindness Fridays, co-hosted with our man, Jason Sarney. That's right. We do that every day of the week here. We got something for you every single day of the week. Victory Monday, Hot Take Tuesdays with Nando Talk, Wildin' Out Wednesdays, where you, the fans, control the everything on the show. Throwback Thursdays, that's right, co-hosted with Cameron Scott, and Spread Kindness Friday, co-hosted with Jason Sarney. All right? So I want to remind you guys about that. Hey, a lot of cool stuff coming up outside of around the U.S. One of them is the 3rd annual Beach Bash, June 10th and 11th, hosted by the Southwest Florida Dolphin Fan Club. If you're going to be in South Florida, June 10th or 11th, they're going to be having a beach and mud bash, spending the night overnight camping, but they'll be swimming, fishing, rope swings and slides. They'll be off-roading and mudding, off-site ATV and kayak rentals, and you can camp overnight. There's a fee for a little bit, but it's families, are welcome. They want to see everybody there. I did the first annual one. It is worth the spot. It is worth the couple of days. You get to hang out with some great and amazing Dolphin fans. And the 3rd annual Southwest Florida Dolphin Club Beach and Mud Bash. Make sure you check it out. And then don't forget about the Fins Up SoCal off-season picnic. That'll be here coming up soon. I don't have all the details right for you on that, but shout out to Jason Miller. Make sure you check him out because that's one of the best things. That's over on the West Coast. For your California people. A lot of good stuff. Okay. All right. Hey, look, big show today. We're going to be talking a lot of different things. The crust of what we're going to talk about today is NFL.com's GM power rankings. We're going to go through that. Obviously discuss Chris Grier is a top GM. What are you looking for in a GM? How does a GM even get to be a top GM in the power rankings? We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss Dalvin Cook. Is he getting traded to Miami? Is he going to get released and just signed outright to Miami? What's going to happen with Dalvin Cook? We're going to dive into all that today. So we got a great show lined up for you today, and I'm excited about it. All right, let me finish saying hello to the people in the chat, and then we'll get this party started. That's right. We will definitely do that. Some big news. We'll get to the big news here in a second. Let me just say hello to. I got NFL's Lit is in here. Cesar Diaz, DDG. Who else is up in here this morning? Chris Smith, Shake Money. Hit the like button. He said, "Man, I like it, man. I want to see it. I want to see it, man. Hit the like button. Make sure y'all do that." All right, a lot of stuff. I want to give a big shout out this morning to 305 Sports Babe. 305 Sports Babe has her own channel on YouTube. She does a lot of really, really cool stuff. She's been a guest on the channel before. And today she does Miami Dolphin of the day a lot on her Twitter feed. And so today, just randomly, I was the Miami Dolphins fan of the day. Stephen D, SKPL from Maryland, Mr. Spread Kindness himself, a man on a mission, Papa Bear of 2, network director to Miami Sports Music, host of the daily show Clock Blockers. Be sure to follow Miami Dolphins fam. Shout out to 305 Sports Babe. I appreciate it, man. That made my morning when I saw that. That was random. Didn't see it coming, and it made my day. So shout out to 305 Sports Babe. Make sure you guys go check out her channel on YouTube, 305 Sports Babe. She's got a great website too. She's got a lot of info. When you guys come down, you guys should hit her up. She's awesome. She's amazing. So make sure you guys go check out 305 Sports Babe. Her beau, her it's not her husband, but it's her longtime boyfriend. Might as well be your husband, as far as I'm concerned. Lou. I love Lou. Lou's absolutely amazing, and he's awesome too. So shout out to Lou. Shout out to 305 Sports Babe. You guys are the best. Noob says, isn't this Victory Monday? Shouldn't we be talking about winners? Wouldn't that eliminate the Dolphins? We're officially a golf morning show. Well, we might as well get into the rundown this morning, okay? Let's get into the rundown for today. We're going to be talking about Miami Heat basketball game 1 win against the Bucks. We're going to talk all NBA playoffs. We're going to talk Tampa Bay winning streak was snapped. Miami Marlins, a little baseball talk this morning. Big news for the Miami Dolphins this morning, out of nowhere, late this weekend. Somebody's Instagram post just randomly showed that he signed with the Miami Dolphins. That's right. I'm talking about the chosen one. I'm talking about Chosen Anderson. We're going to discuss Chosen Anderson, former New York Jet wide receiver, former Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, former Carolina Panther wide receiver, former, a lot of problems in the locker room, allegedly. We're going to talk what it's like signing him, how he's going to fit into the family, the crust of the Miami Dolphins locker room, and how that'll be a fit for this upcoming season. I actually think it's a good thing. I think it's going to be awesome. And we're going to discuss that in more detail. As I said before, NFL.com GM Power Rankings. We're going to debate where Chris Grier is. It'll be interesting. And then obviously the Dalvin Cook rumors. All right, man, let's get into NBA, man. NBA playoffs started this weekend. I was excited about it. I honestly just hung out most of the weekend and watched NBA playoff basketball. There is such a big difference between NBA playoff basketball and NBA regular season basketball. I mean, night and day atmospheres. So a couple things before I even get to the Heat. I watched the Warriors-Kings game on Saturday night, and the atmosphere in Sacramento was it was unreal. Let me call it what it was. It was unreal. Those Sacramento King teams back in the day were great, but this Sacramento Kings team, I really think have a big chance of making a run at this thing if they can get through Golden State. Now, Golden State is Golden State. You got Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. You still have the crew there, right? Steve Kerr being the head coach. But this Sacramento Kings team, Mike Brown, the head coach, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, there's so many great things on this Kings team. And the best part was the atmosphere, the fans, then lighting the beam after the game. I was excited. If you want to see really good basketball, not just NBA basketball, just basketball, watch this Warriors-Kings series. I think it's going to be 6 or 7 games. I think it's going to be one of the best series in the playoffs this year. I'm excited this year. I'm excited for that. So I'll be and I'm not a fan of either one of the teams, but I just thought at the end of the day, it was fun to watch. So great series there. Celtics Hawks series was boring. 76 Nets series is going to be boring. Knicks and Cavaliers is an interesting one that I didn't think would be as good as it was. Donovan Mitchell with Cleveland and that Knicks team, that was actually a pretty good series. I watched game one of that. Knicks won 101-97. Close game the entire game. Spike Lee was there in Cleveland sitting courtside. Fun. It was fun. So I think that's going to be another series to just watch. And I hope Cleveland wins because I hate the Knicks. And we should all hate the Knicks as Miami fans. But that'll be another good series to watch. And then last night, the Suns and Clippers, man, that was an interesting game. Kevin Durant, Chris Paul in Phoenix. Clippers, obviously having their crew. Paul George sat out, and they still won by 5 points in Phoenix. I think when it's all said and done, Clippers are probably going to win that series, but I think I am rooting for Phoenix in that because I like Chris Paul. I'm not a huge Kevin Durant fan, but I do like Chris Paul. So I think it'll be an interesting series. I'm interested to see how games 2 and 3 go. If, Phoenix comes back and wins game 2, which I fully expect them to, and the series is tied, and then they obviously go to LA for game 3. I think game 3 will be like a big deciding factor of how that series is ran. That team will go up 2-1 and probably have a commanding lead for the rest of that series, in my opinion. So look, Clippers, Suns, decent series. There were some things last night that definitely bothered me, but Phoenix gets hot. They can do everything, man. So that was a decent team to watch last night. And then the last 2 games I'll obviously talk about. First one is my boy LeBron, baby. I'll tell you what, man. LeBron is that man, 20 years in the league and still out here just crushing guys that are half his age or younger. I mean, he's still a top 10 player in the league. He's still one of the best. I don't have an answer on why he does. He was making defensive plays that he hasn't made in years. He was rebounding, blocking shots. Just crazy no-look passes, hitting 3-pointers. LeBron was doing it all. And here's the best part. He wasn't even the best player on the court. Austin Rivers what was the best player? Not Austin Rivers. Am I saying is Lakers? I'm going to make sure I say his name right. Austin Reeves. I keep on saying Austin Rivers. Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is a monster, cuz that guy got hot in the fourth quarter. He went crazy. He went nuts. Reeves was a beast. And I'm telling you right now, if the Lakers pass Memphis, and I fully expect that they will, and they won 128-112, especially now that Ja Morant's, we don't know. There were some big injuries, by the way, that happened this weekend in the NBA playoffs. I'm interested to know what the deal is with Ja Morant's wrist. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I fully expect the Lakers, even with Ja Morant, to win that series. And if they don't have Ja Morant, they're definitely winning that series. There's not even a question. I will say during the game I was watching, Anthony Davis gets a stinger in his arm and can't lift up his arm. But at the moment, all you heard when you're watching the game, all you saw is I can't lift up my arm. And I cussed out the TV. I'm like, this guy stays hurt all day, every day. I love Anthony Davis when he's healthy, but man, that man can't stay healthy for nothing. And he came back 5 minutes later and ended up playing the rest of the game. And he was a big factor and contributor to why they won. So look, they cannot win a championship without Anthony Davis. The man needs to stay on the court. But I'm telling you right now, the Lakers will beat the Grizzlies. They will move on to the next round, and they have a chance to make a big run at this thing. I'll be honest with you. I want to see Lakers Kings Western Conference Finals, or Lakers Clippers Western Conference Finals, just because I want to see the Lakers beat the Clippers. That's it. But yeah, that was great. And then obviously we're Miami sports music, Miami Heat, baby. Game 1, 130 to 117. Giannis Antetokounmpo does leave the game with an injury. Status unknown at the moment. We don't know what's going on with him. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in that series. But I was very, very surprised. I watched the entire Lakers game. I ended up going on a date with my wife. We were sitting there in the restaurant. The Heat game was on, and I'm like, man, they're up by 10 points. Man, they're up by 12. What? They were, look, I couldn't believe they won game one. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. And the fact that Milwaukee lost, if Giannis Antetokounmpo is any sort of bit hurt, the Heat got a shot. And you got to remember, this is a team that's 2 years removed from being in the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat. And they were one game away last year. So it's not like Miami's a scrub team. Yes, they limped into the playoffs. Yes, they had to play in the last playoff game. Yes, they're the 8th seed. I get it. But a crux and a core of this group are still some of the same guys that played the NBA Finals a couple of years ago and were one game away from the finals last year. Same squad. So this team knows how to win. Don't think that they don't. So I'm just saying, I said I'm surprised. Maybe I shouldn't be. Because they showed up when it counted. Do I think the Heat are going to beat Milwaukee? Probably not. But I am very surprised they won in game one. So I'm just going to sit back and watch and hope and wishing and praying and hoping. And we'll see what happens. I know one thing, is for sure. Just looking at the game, Jimmy Butler had 35 points. Bam had 22 points. And then a big injury. Tyler Herro broke his hand. I mean, that's a devastating loss to them, right? Herro only had 12 points in that game, though, and only played 19 minutes. And they still ended up winning that game. So I would normally say, man, if Herro's there, that's a big deal, them losing him. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. I like that they didn't say he's out for the rest of the playoffs. They said he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see what happens. Bam was horrible at the start. NFL's lit. I agree, but he found his stride. The man ended with 22 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Jimmy Butler was, a few rebounds away from having a triple-double. Bam was one rebound and 3 assists away from having a triple-double. You can't knock at that. You can't. Kevin Love had 18 points. We all said, what is Kevin Love going to do? He showed up in the playoffs. We're going to see some really, 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 really good stuff. I'm excited. Gabe Martin, yes, new breed he's going to have to step up with Tyler out. With Herro out, 100%. The mid-range was looking good for Bam in the second half. Yep. Word of mouth is so right. Bam is so frustrating to watch because when he's hot, he's on. And when he's not, he's not. There's no in between for Bam. He's either good or he's not good. No in between. Yeah. I said Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin. My bad. I said Gabe Martin. Yeah. Gabe Vincent, 15 points. Caleb Martin, 15 points. They both had 15 points for a total of 30. But they're both going to have to step up, right? Gabe played 33 minutes. Caleb played 26. Kyle Lowry played 18 minutes for a total of 2 points. That's frustrating. 18 minutes for a total of 2 points. Frustrating as all hell. And you need him to step up too if they're going to be. We know how to beat them, Stephen. We did it before. Don't sleep on the Heat because of the national media bias. I don't think that I am. I'm calling them what they are. They limped into the playoffs. Let's be real, Cesar. The Heat are lucky they got into the playoffs. But they are also the reason why I ultimately say in any professional sport, just get into the playoffs. Because once you get in, it's a new season and anything can happen. And we're still, and as I just said a little bit ago, we're talking about a team that is a couple of years removed away from an NBA Finals. Granted, it was inside a bubble. Who cares? Okay, they were there. And they were one game away from the NBA Finals last year. They went game 7 with the Celtics. So don't get it twisted. I agree with what you're saying. They have people that have been there before. They have people that have won championships. They have people that have done everything they've needed to do. Look, Kevin Love's won a championship. He knows what it takes. He does. And him stepping up last night in 23 minutes and scoring 18 points, I'm going to tell you right now, if he brings you that every night for the rest of the playoffs, which he won't probably, but if he does, you got a shot. You got a shot. David said Boston is too strong. Nobody's beaten them this season. Look, there's no fact. I'm not even going to talk about Boston in their series in the first round because they're going to kill. They're killing them. Not even fair. Not even fair. All right. So look, just real quick, a little update for next games. Game tonight. There's one game. There's 2 games tonight. Nets 76 or 7:30. Who cares? Warriors Kings 10 p.m. tonight. I will be tuning in a little bit to that game. I'm kind of mad that some of these games are so late because I want to watch them, but there's some really good West Coast games, and I will definitely be watching them. Tomorrow night, you got Celtics Hawks at 7, Knicks Cavaliers at 7:30, Clippers in Suns at 10, and then Wednesday you got the Lakers and Grizzlies game 2, the Heat Bucks game 2, in the Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets, who, by the way, Denver Nuggets won last night as well over the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 1. That is also Wednesday. So LeBron and the Lakers play the Grizzlies at 7:30 on Wednesday night, and the Heat and the Bucks play at 9 p.m. in Milwaukee at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night. So that's the next time. So it'll be good, man. It will be good. Marvelous says West Coast needs to start at 9 p.m. I agree 100% because it is straight. I want to watch that Sacramento Kings game, and I got to wait till 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30 in the morning for that game, man. Rough, just rough. And then wake up and do a morning show, but I want to watch it. It's going to be a good game. We'll see what happens. All right, that's enough basketball talk. Check it out. If you guys want to interact with me about NBA basketball talk, hit me up. Social media. That's right. Let's go. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Miami Sports Music, at Miami Sports Music, or on Twitter at MIA Sports Music, or you can always hit me up at Stephen D. SKPL. All right. Just real quick, just going to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. That'll be an interesting one too. To see how that works. There's a lot of really, really great stuff with that. But the Florida Panthers limped their way in, right? And are going to be playing the Boston Bruins. First game is tonight. Puck drops at 7:30. Think it's going to be good. Panthers have a shot. If the Panthers can get out of this round, it's going to be good. Tampa Bay Lightning, Lewis, I hate Tampa Bay Lightning. Hope they lose. I don't want to see them win again. But they play at 7:30 tomorrow night against Toronto. Islanders, Hurricanes, that'll be an interesting series. Minnesota Wild, Dallas Stars, former Minnesota. Little connection there between the two franchises. That game's at 9:30 tonight, and the Kings and the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers and LA Kings play tonight at 10 o'clock. Rangers and the New Jersey Devils, New York versus New Jersey. That'll be fun too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. We'll have to talk to that. All right, enough about NHL because we'll wait till tomorrow to talk a little bit about that. There was a lot of other things that kind of occurred over the weekend. One of them was in Major League Baseball. there had never been a team starting better than 13-0 to start the season. There were two teams that had tied the previous record of starting 13-0 to start a season. No team had gone 14-0. And so the Tampa Bay Rays tied that up and ended up losing on Friday, I believe. And that sucks because I'm a big fan of history no matter what happens. I believe records are made to be broken. I believe history's made to you want to see these things happen unless you just absolutely hate that person or that team. Being as I don't hate Tampa Bay Devil Rays, I wanted to see it, and it'll be interesting to see. But the Miami Marlins, look, they're playing decent right now. They're 4 games out of first. They're 8-8 to start the season. It's a long season. But one thing that does need to step up for the Marlins is their pitching. And they're not going to be able to make the playoffs if their pitching does not step up, right? They lose yesterday 5-0, but they did beat the Diamondbacks and take 2 of 3, right? So the Marlins won 3-2 on Saturday night, and they won 5-1 on Friday night. Now they got a homestand against the San Francisco Giants for the next 3 days, starting tonight in Miami. It'll be a really, really, really good game, I believe, from the standpoint of Giants. They're not a horrible team. They really aren't. So Jesus Luzardo on the mound for them tonight. He's got a 1.93 ERA. That'll be interesting. And, I believe that it'll be good. So Logan Webb on the mound for them. Jesus Luzardo's 2-0. Logan Webb's 0-3. So the Marlins better get it done tonight. They better get it done tonight. So shout out to Miami. We'll have to see how that goes. But ultimately, I think it'll be good, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch that series. So be on the lookout for them. And, we'll get into more baseball talk on Thursday with Cameron. So by that point, we'll have another 3-game series set for the Marlins. And we're going to talk more baseball talk on Thursday, unless anything big happens over the next few days. So if you want to talk baseball, come hang out with us on Thursday morning with Cameron. We're going to get into some baseball talk on Thursday morning. So it'll be pretty good. But I wanted to touch on it this morning because I thought it was history, and Toronto didn't want to see history happen. I ain't mad at it. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Let's get into Dolphins talk, baby. Big news happening over the weekend. Okay, semi-big. Okay, it was big for Dolphins fans. Okay, maybe it wasn't that big for Dolphins fans. Wide receiver, free agent, Chosen Anderson, a.k.a. Robbie Anderson, a.k.a. Robbie Chosen Anderson, whatever you want to call him, went on his Instagram, took to his Instagram at a party, and broke out a Tua Tagovailoa jersey to let the world know that he is now a Miami Dolphin. I think it says a lot about the team. I do. He is 2 years removed from having a 1,000-yard season. I think he had one in 2020, if I'm correct, with the New York Jets. Actually, no, it was with the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, I mean, he's put up good stats in the past, and he's also put up no stats in the past. He's had one good year in his career. Let's call it what it is. And he had a mediocre year the year after that. And everything else has just been locker room headaches, whatever it is. Here's what I believe. I believe he has talent, right? The guy is 6'3", 190 pounds. He's tall. He's one of the tallest receivers we have on our roster. So he's a guy that can go jump up and go reach balls when Tua needs to just lob it up to somebody, and you need a wide receiver that can jump over the defenders. Chosen Anderson might be that guy. Do I know if he makes the roster? I don't know. Let's call a spade as well. but I think he has a good chance to make the roster. Here's why. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, 1 and 2, right? Bam. No doubt about that. Braxton Berrios, in my opinion, is number 3. Okay. Why is that? Well, I think he's going to fit really good in this offensive scheme that McDaniel's trying to incorporate. You got Wes Welker as the wide receiver head coach, who, for all intents and purposes, is the best slot receiver in the history of the game, if not one of them. So having Braxton Berrios, who is a true slot receiver, by the way, also good punt returner and kick returner, he'll be the guy in the backfield on special teams this year. Just saying, Braxton Berrios is probably the number 3. Personal opinion. Number 4 at the current moment is probably Cedric Wilson. But there is a good chance he gets traded away. And I believe it's probably going to happen on draft night or damn near close to it. Okay? I believe that he will definitely getting trade calls, fielding calls from around the league, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe that they will also be vying for his services to return back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So let's put Cedric Wilson to the side for a second. So who jumps in at number 4 there? Well, I think you got 2 options. You got Chosen Anderson, right? Chosen Anderson's last year, 16 games, 20 receptions, 282 yards. Not great. Really bad. All right. But the year before, he had 519 yards, 5 touchdowns, right? And played in 11 games. Started 11 games, actually. Actually, no, he started in 16 games last year, played in 17. I'm sorry. Started 16 games, played in 17. 519 yards, 53 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Carolina, also the year before in 2020, 1,096 yards. And he's started in 16 games, played in 16 games. He only had 3 touchdowns. Now, here is what you guys need to look at. One of the things that our boy Tua Tagovailoa led last year in the league was yards per throw. Okay, top of the league. Guess where Robbie Anderson, Chosen Anderson, yards per reception last year? Yards per reception, 14.1. The year before that, 9.8. The year before that, 11.5. The year before that, 15. The year before that, 15. The year before that, 14.9. The year before that, 14. This is somebody who gets open. He can beat the coverage. And more importantly, he can jump up and go over shorter defenders. And that is perfect for the game plan that Mike McDaniel wants to draw up and execute. So I think Chosen Anderson is going to be perfect for the type of offense that McDaniel wants to run. Is he going to put up great numbers? No, he's not. I'm calling that. He's not. But is he going to make a difference on this roster? I believe that he will. And he will also allow, in my opinion, because you'll have to respect him once he makes 2 or 3 big catches. And I mean 2 or 3. I don't mean 5 or I don't mean he needs to have a good game. I mean 2 or 3 big catches. Defenses are going to say when Robbie comes in, be prepared for the Dolphins to go deep. And what is that going to do? That's going to open up the defense. You're going to see different schemes on the defense, playing zone coverage, and it's going to allow for Tyreek, Jalen, Chosen, anybody that gets a chance to get the ball on a pass to get it. Personal opinion. So, look, I think it's a really good signing. I think he fits in really good with McDaniel's offense. In my opinion, I believe he probably can be the number 4 wide receiver. Well, who's the other person that's vying for the number 4? Well, that would be Eric. Eric Ezukanma is the draft pick that we picked last year, who I really, really like from Texas. But he has been on record stating, hey, look, can't exactly get the playbook in order. I'm having a difficult time picking that up. What's going to happen with Eric Ezukanma? Well, he's had a full year now under his belt, seeing what the Dolphins can do, understanding the playbook, learning the playbook. He's got another year with Wes Welker as his wide receiving head coach. He's got another year of, now he gets Braxton Berrios, by the way. I think that all will be an added bonus for Eric Ezukanma. Eric Ezukanma, in my opinion, has no reason to fail. And if he does fail, it's because he wasn't the right pick to begin with. And I'm just gonna call it. And we'll get into the Chris Grier NFL GM power rankings here in a little bit. We're gonna stay on this for a minute. But with Chosen Anderson here, it allows for Ezukanma to get a little bit more of a leeway and not everything all predicated on him being successful or not. Now the question comes into play. Well, Steven, Chosen's had a lot of locker room issues. You know, he's fought in the locker room. He's, been, talked publicly bad about his quarterbacks, whatever. Well, number one, Robbie Anderson, Chosen Anderson, has never in his entire NFL career played with a quarterback as good as Tua Tagovailoa. He hasn't. He's never played with a quarterback as good as him. Not in New York. Not in Arizona. Yes, I said it. And definitely not in Carolina. Best quarterback he's played with his whole career will be Tua Tagovailoa so far. So I don't see that being too big of an issue. The other thing that I think will be big too is, for the first time in his career, well, DeAndre Hopkins obviously maybe being the exception there, but we all know that D-Hop and the Cardinals had a bad history last year. Allegedly, that was not a good locker room. But I'll say this is total opposite. There's continuity here. There's leadership here. If he gets out of hand at all, I believe in my heart of hearts, Tyreek Hill is going to go up to him and say, hey, bro, you're messing up. You better act right or get gone. There's no wiggle room for Chosen. And I would think that he knows that. I'm sure that was discussed in conversations before he signed, whether that be through Chris Grier, whether that be through Mike McDaniel. I'm not worried about the off-the-field issues. I'm not. I think that ultimately this locker room and the way that it's designed and set up with the personalities in it, if he steps out of line, people are going to come to him real quick. So there's going to be none of that. I don't believe that'll be an issue at all. So the off the field issues to me are irrelevant. The way that this current thing is set up, I believe that he's going to be very, very good based on, everybody says, oh, he's got horrible numbers. Well, there is one good thing that you can look at, and that's yards per reception. And with the exception of 2021, which, by the way, he had 5 touchdowns in that year and 519 yards. Okay. He had 9.8. It was the only time in his career that he was under 10 yards per average reception. Otherwise, it was 14, 11, 15, 15, 14, 14. Which plays into McDaniel's, let me rip it down the field. He fits right into this scheme. He will be plug and play. Somebody just said he only knows 2 or 3 routes. Who cares? Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going to get the benefit of majority of the catches. And we all know that's going to happen. Berrios is probably going to get some love too as the slot receiver. So in my opinion, that'll be what it is. And to again state, he's never played with a quarterback as good as Tua Tagovailoa. Throwing that out there. And he'll be able to jump up and grab some balls, which we haven't had in a while since Devontae Parker. Not that Devontae Parker was any great, talent. Yes, I'm hating on him a little bit. I don't think it's a bad look. I think a lot of things are going to come out in training camp. We're going to see what he's really about. But if you're asking me to find positives, I see them here. I'm not going to necessarily look at all the negatives. Just run those 2-3 routes to perfection. Be open when you need to be open. Make your 2 to 4 catches per game and make sure they count. That's all I need from you, Chosen. 2 to 4 catches per game at an average If he does what he did last year, which was crap, okay? But if he averages 14 yards of perception last year, forget the other numbers. I hope that improves. But if he averages over 14 yards per reception on 2 to 4 receptions per game, and he gets a touchdown every 2 or 3 games, he's exactly what I need out of my 4 or 5 wide receiver. He's exactly what I need. I'm not asking him to be the 1 or 2. I'm not asking him to be the 3. I'm asking Chosen to be the 4 or 5 in a Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle-led receiving core. That's what I'm asking him. Personal opinion. And again, I think he's going to fit right into this offense. And the offensive system that McDaniel. Remember, here's the other thing, too. We want to sit here as Dolphin fans, not all of us, some of us, and want to say NFL's lit is, if you were listening, I said Berrios, I believe, is the number 3. But again, I'll also go in to say, and I'm trying to read the chat as well as give you my thoughts here. Trick Dawson, okay. Sugar Daddy is funny. Dolphins signed Kodak Black as running back. Please. Kings 1989 says, Steven, I hope Tua shares the ball. Honestly, it would help it would help the offense produce. I believe that he will. Because here's the other thing. You got to remember, my hope, and most Dolphins fans' hope, is that the run game improves. And if the run game improves, there'll probably be less chances maybe for the ball to go around. I'm asking for Chosen Anderson to be a 2 to 4 reception player per game. And when he's in there, he helps the secondary get coverage because he has the ability on those 2 to 4 plays to go grab the ball. And that will leave for more one-on-one opportunities with Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek Hill. And we all know what happens when those guys have one-on-one coverage. They're winning it 9 out of 10 times. All day, every day. There's maybe 3 or 4 people in the league that can cover those guys. Just call yourself a 2 in air, Steven. To call to a better quarterback than Tyler is laughable. I want whatever you're smoking, or you have too much hopium. I am your local hopium dealer, my guy. Dudley Do-Wrong, shout out to Dudley Do-Wrong, says it all depends on Anderson and the contract he got. He's got to show he's worth making the team. I agree with that, Doug. I agree that training camp is going to be where you get to show that. I also agree that Eric Azukama and Braxton Berrios are going to be in that battle for 3 through 5. And there's probably another wide receiver or 2 that we're going to get in free agency, whether that be an undrafted free agent, whether that be a veteran free agent, whatever it is. There will be another 2 or 3 wide receivers on this team. Got to have more come into training camp. Point blank. And I agree with that. But if you're looking, but here's the thing. Everybody's like, Steven, you're trying to hype up a wide receiver that's crap. I'm not trying to hype him up. I'm understanding what we got here. We got a guy who is a locker room issue in the past and who's had one good year in his career and maybe 1 or 2 decent years. His 2017 year, he had 941 yards and 7 touchdowns on 63 receptions. And with the exception of 2020, he's never had a year where he had more than 63 catches. In 2020, he had 95. Hence why he was able to get 1,000 yards over. I am not necessarily saying that he's going to be great. I'm not even saying he's going to make the team. I'm saying a dream scenario of what you want out of Chosen Anderson is this. A guy that can give you 2 to 4 receptions per game. He can give you a touchdown 1 every 3 or 4 games. I'm asking him to get 4 to 6 touchdowns this year. That's all I need from you. Just get 4 to 6 touchdowns. That's either 1 a month or 1.25 every month. I'm not asking for much more. If you get anything more than 5 touchdowns, it's a win. And if you stay above 10 yards per reception, it's a win. Point blank. Dudley just don't want to come on my show. That's what it is. Dudley hates me, y'all. He absolutely hates me. Doug thinks I'm the worst person in. If you want, you sent me this now? I'm just now seeing this text message. Hold up. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but we're gonna see. This guy. We're gonna see if it happens. It probably won't be 10 minutes because that thing was however many minutes ago. Thank you for telling me. I ask him all the time to come on. I'm just giving him. I'm texting you butt. I'm seeing it now. We'll see. He might come on for all of 2 seconds to say, I texted you, you lost out. That's probably what's going to happen. But nonetheless, I love the guy. All right. Said I texted you butt. You dumb butt. What's your dumb butt? For people who watched my show for a long time, you know what that is. Let's stop lying to myself. Doug hates me. We all know that. If Chosen doesn't make the team, then who will you be okay if Hill or Waddle goes down? I don't know yet. I mean, look, Eric Ezukama and Braxton Berrios kind of, for me, are the ones that need to step up big, right? They have to. I believe Berrios can, and I believe that Eric Ezukama is going to have a chance to. We'll have to see what happens with that. I think another thing that'll be interesting too will be what happens with any other free agents that the Dolphins bring on. All right, without further ado, let me bring him on because he never comes on the morning show. What's up, buddy? Butt. I am a butt. What's up, man?
What's up, bud?
So the baby's eating, so you got some time.
I made her breakfast, and I was like, she got 10 minutes, 15
Dudley
minutes.
Do-Wrong on Clock Blockers, ladies and gentlemen. The pigs have flown. Let me check outside, make sure everything's good. All right, the world's not coming to an end. We're good. We're good. What's going on, man?
Not much. I'm tired.
Yes. Yes, because you're always up working late.
11. Well, she woke up at 11:30, didn't go back to bed till about 4. So I was in there with her.
You're such a good dad.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So apparently, you're in trouble.
What?
Yeah,
me?
what did you do that people were giving you crap when I came on?
All right, so Noob, level 2 Noob, has a theory out there that allegedly I'm a Bills fan, which is not true because I let Bills fans come onto the panel sometimes. They support the channel. They donate. They contribute to the conversation. Now, when they say something outrageous, I call them out. I say they're crazy and stupid and Bills Mafia is horrible. But because I allow every person that, by the way, I let every person coming on my channel have a voice, which some people like and some people hate. Noob says Doug is here to class up the show. They don't donate. That's cap. Neither do the Dolphins fans, Newton. I'm just playing.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. It's funny too, because that comment that I saw, the donation that called you that hopium donation, and
so yeah, I'm a hopium.
I would like that person to explain to me.
So that's Caslin. That's Kaz. He's wicked hot. He's from up north in the New England area, and everything's wicked hot to Kaz.
Besides running and his legs, I would like him to explain to me what. And I get called to an ear all the time, and I just laugh at it.
We both do. That's fine.
What makes him better than Tua? He's fast. He's got really good speed, and
we're talking about the guy who, in his contract, they had to put, quote, he must not play video games and watch game film a certain amount of time a week. I believe Tua, every time we look at him, that man is working out with Nick. Every single post. Working out with Nick. That man is working out like no other.
That's not selling. When you said that, I was like, all right. Because as a quarterback, 2 is better, in my opinion. Again, I get cold to 2 near all the time, so it is what it is. As a quarterback, in the pocket, throwing the ball, accuracy, anticipation, 2 is better. But if you need your quarterback to run around like a crazy person, yeah, of course, I'm going Kyler Murray.
Yes, you are good, Steven, and yes, Doug can't stand you. I believe that.
I can only take him in bits, so that's why I come on every 6 months.
Every 6 months, I get Doug, a little bit of Doug for like 10 or 15 minutes.
What? It is now April, May, June, July, August.
Meanwhile, what you don't know
September,
is we've had conversations for 3 hours till 2 o'clock in the morning before.
He calls me and I'm like,
every hour, we're like, hey, we've been on the phone for an hour. Hey, we've been on for 2 hours. Hey, we should do this more often. We've been on for 3 hours.
You called me and then I'm like, all right, let me call you back. Hold on. And then I call him at like midnight. And all of a sudden it's like 3 o'clock.
And I picked up the phone.
I'm making a fucking PB&J.
How's it going, my guy?
I'm like, all right, let me go. I gotta eat.
Because he can only watch me every 6 months. Boy, it's rough out here this morning. Shots fired. All right, man. Talk about Chosen. What do you think about Chosen?
We'll see.
Do you think my assessment is right?
Yeah. I don't see. I think I haven't really he's been an afterthought ever since he was moved again to me. Like with the Jets, he was pretty good because we've seen him twice a year.
He had 2 good years with the Jets, I guess.
And then with the Panthers, that first year with the Panthers, I'm like, okay, all right. But then it's like we'll see.
Last 2 years.
Yeah. I got to see what his contract looks like. I expect it to be like a 1 year.
I think it'll if there's any guarantee, it'll be $1 million. It'll be like near the veteran minimum.
That, yeah. I could see it being like
any guarantee.
Savon Ahmed's contract. You know what I'm saying? Like his guarantee is $500,000. So I see it as we're going to give you a chance. We like your speed. We think your speed matches Tyreek and Jalen. Let's see what you could do here. And if you can't stay out of trouble, you're gone. And there's no skin off our back.
Like I just said a little bit ago, Doug, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I'm sure it was straight up told to him, whether it was through McDaniel or Grier or whatever. And I don't even think it was probably said in so many words as in, hey, can you address the issues that you had in the past? Hey, here's X, Y, and Z explanation. Okay, well, here's our view. You know who we have in the locker room. You know how things work here.
Yeah.
And whether they said it or not in so many words or directly, I'm sure it's known to Chosen. You step out of line, you're gone because we have no loyalty to you at the moment. You need to earn our loyalty.
His agent probably even said it to him. Like, look, I got you a chance here. You need to
with one of the best teams in the NFL.
You ain't joking.
I mean, so my thought process, and I don't know if you heard me or not, I said, look, if he gives you 2 to 4 receptions a game, he gives you a touchdown 1 to every 3, 1 to every 4 games. He's exactly what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And if you look at his yards per reception, 14.1 last year, 9.8 the big year that he had, and then everything else was 11.5, 15, 15, 14.9, and 14. If he averages anything over 10 yards per reception, it's money. It's money, even if it's 2 a game. Because he opens up he makes the secondary think when he's in the game, hey, Robbie can get open. Robbie can beat you in the long game. He can do it. Caslin with his $5 donation, thank you, says Kyler can make reads, make progressions, has a better arm, extend plays, can actually win games himself. Need I go on? He's talking to you, Doug.
I'll respond. So I broke down film every single game this past year, hour and something minute video. The notion that Tua can't make reads or go through his progression, I proved to be false. He did it multiple times. Extends plays, I showed maybe about 6 or 7 of them, and that's just because I didn't want the video to go on too long. Can win games himself. Week 2? That's just one game. I'm just picking one game last year.
You can't bring up the Baltimore game, Doug. That'll never happen in his career again. You're not allowed to. I'm just telling you what's been told to me by the fan base.
The Lions.
I'm
game?
never allowed to bring up that game.
Lions game. Our defense stayed in Miami.
I'm pretty
the
sure
Bears game. Our defense stayed in Miami.
Yeah.
The Browns game. Those are games that Tua was slinging that rock. That's 4 games.
You're telling me Dudley Do-Wrong has been saying and preaching some of the same things that I've been preaching, but I get labeled as a 2-and-ear, and Dudley gets labeled as the GOAT. What's wrong with this pitcher?
Oh, I get labeled as 2-and-ear, 2-and-on. I'm a part of a cult.
Are you 2-and-on?
So I wish I was. The stuff that they do for the community, I wish I was.
It's priceless.
Okay, Kyler can make reads, go through progression. Has a better arm. I'll give him that. So
Kyler falls better than Tua deep.
Okay, I give him that too. Even though he did get hurt.
It might be this. That might be the chat of the day right there.
But let me answer question. Let me do something. Better quarterback rating, better passer rating, better yards per game, better touchdown, more yards passing. These are all things that Tua did better this last year. So again, where are you wrong in your assessment saying that Tua is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray?
70% of the season, he was an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
70% of the season.
8 straight games he won.
I don't know what else to say.
And
the only thing that we as a fan base can truly question, in my opinion, is his health. And I have no problem with that argument or discussion or debate because it's a legit one, right? He hasn't played a full season. He has gotten hurt. I get your reservation about that. But to say that he's a bad quarterback or is not a good quarterback, guys, I have a problem with it. I question it. And I get that he's struggled in December. People want to bring that up too. I get that. But NFL's list says 1 good season respectfully out of 3. Well, here's my counter rebuttal to you, sir. He's had 1 good year because he had 1 year where his coaching staff believed in him. He had 1 good year because he had an offense that was made for him. Everybody's like, oh, Tyreek's the reason what they won. Yes, that's true. But that's
any quarterback.
They did that because they wanted Tua to have the offense that was predicated to fit around him. And what did you need to do that? Hey, let me go out and get a star wide receiver.
It makes me laugh that people use Tyreek Hill and the system and all that stuff as a stigma to knock Tua. Every
Steelers game, Chargers game, 49ers game, and end of Green Bay game for starters, and you have to count the games he missed too.
Yeah. I'm not
He's saying
those. If you watch my channel, I never discount those games. I always talk about how they're bad games. And I talk about for him to be on the team and for him to continue his success, first he has to stay healthy, and 2, he has to continue to get better. Every year he has played, from his rookie year to 2021 to last year, he has gotten better. So if he continues to progress and stay healthy, he's going to continue to get better.
I agree with you. Finn Daddy Big Dougie B says, with all the sub 4.4 speed on offense, we're going to have a track meet offense. I think those are facts. It's going to be one of the fastest offenses. All right, why I got you, there's 2 other things I want to talk to you about.
Good.
Before you get out of here. Let's discuss the offensive line situation.
Jeez.
What do you think needs to happen? Okay. Do you think, I just wanted your thoughts on the O-line situation.
They need to get a right tackle. I do not trust Austin Jackson.
I don't think anybody does.
So to me, they need to get a right tackle.
Do they do that in the draft? Can you do that in the draft? Better yet, with the 51st pick at the moment.
Yeah, I think because a lot of times going into the draft, everyone has this preconceived notion of what's going to happen. Oh, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. People think that the Texas running back is going to go in the 1st round. He could go in the 2nd round. People think that all these things are going to happen. right? No one expected the Raiders a few years ago to take that defensive end, Farrell, I think his name was, with the 4th or 5th pick. This is going to happen. So at 51, Campbell's not going to be available. So-and-so is not going to be available. These guys aren't going to be there at 51. And all of a sudden the draft day comes, and then the day 1 ends, and all of a sudden everyone's like, how is so-and-so still available for day 2? Blah, blah, blah. People reach, and GMs know more than us, and GMs scout more than us, and all that stuff. So it is possible for us to get a caliber starting right tackle at 51. But to me,
I think it's more likely they trade back, honestly.
And that's, again, 51 might come. There might be 6 players there that the Dolphins really like. And then a team that's 6 spots back might be like, hey, we like somebody that we're afraid 52 is going to take.
We'll give you this.
Trade up, we'll give you a 4th and whatever to trade up 5 spots. And we'd be like, sure, what's up? Let's do it.
We'll take that all day.
But my biggest thing is you're going to kind of hope that this rookie, you're going to kind of hope that Chris Grier makes the right decision and that this rookie is good enough to play and start at right tackle when it's been the Miami Dolphins. I think Barry Jackson came out with this article and this statistic that since 1990, the Miami Dolphins have taken 17 offensive linemen from round 2 to 4. 1 out of 17 paid off, and that's Robert Hunt. So it's like, maybe not hope that we do that. And that's why, if you notice, for a brief amount of time, I was on this crusade of...
Did we draft Mike Pouncey, though?
No, 2nd to 4th round.
Okay, 2nd to 4th round. Okay.
I was on this whole crusade that we need to sign somebody. We need to sign somebody. And I kept getting pushback like it's March, Doug. Stop freaking out. It's March.
Stephen D has a Bills Mafia tattoo, says just say no to hopium, Doug. That's noob, by the way.
But the right tackle scares the crap out of me.
What about DJ Fluker, though? Why is he still a free agent? Why have we not signed him yet? Because he looks to be in the best shape of his life.
There's your answer, though.
And we signed him last year.
Anybody signed him?
I mean, here's the reason why I believe nobody signed him as of this moment. We're 10 days away from the draft. People want to see what they get in the draft. But remember, after the draft, there's a second wave of free agency.
Yeah, but that second wave is like you're going down the aisle picking up the dented cans because you don't have enough.
That's what
money.
DJ Fluker is, Doug.
I'm not saying no to DJ Fluker. I'm not saying no to bringing back Shell. There's Fleming. I think he's still out there.
Shell's one that I am surprised we didn't bring back, and I'm a little upset we haven't.
I think but why the most important position for Tua's life playing football are you? Oh, well, we could wait on it. We'll scavenge. When you go to Walmart and you got that big old bin of DVDs. Why are you getting that when you can watch something new?
Here's a $1 DVD. Here's a $5 DVD.
It just makes sense.
Well, all right. So let me ask you: do you have a theory on why they're doing that?
Chris Grier does not want Austin Jackson to fail. He sees that.
You think so? Time out. You're saying that Chris Grier's pride is in the way. I can't see that, Doug.
Tua Tagovailoa is starting to pan out, right? His rookie year, hey, it's his rookie year, COVID year. Even Tom Brady came out that year and said, I still didn't know the playbook, blah, blah, blah. COVID year. Last year, worst offensive line, 2021, worst offensive line that an NFL team has seen in years. He had Jalen Waddle, and that was it at wide receiving core. And he produced, right? He produced. It wasn't great, obviously, but he produced. This year, all of a sudden, 8 straight. There were some games here and there that are bad. If you look at his full games played, I think he had 2.5 bad games. I think he had 2 okay games, 2.5 bad, and then the rest were really good, top tier games. Then he got hurt. There's that progression where you're like, Tua is going up. Tua is getting better. Austin Jackson is just going down. And he doesn't want him to have he had 3 first-round picks in 2020. One of them is hopefully continuing to pan out. The other two are hot garbage and Noah Igbinoghene and Austin Jackson, and he doesn't want that to happen. So he's like, let's bring in, our offensive coordinator will be a really good O-line coach, and then we'll go out and get, one of the best offensive line coaches in college football. And then all of a sudden he couldn't concentrate. The offensive coordinator couldn't concentrate on being offensive coordinator because he had to help the O-line coach because
I can't believe I'm saying this out loud to support some of your conspiracy theory here, which
it's 100% conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's 100%.
I can't believe that. I'll be honest with you. I've never heard anybody really say Grier's pride was the issue. I've heard fans say that. I've never heard anybody in our community say that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying I think Grier's a very level-headed guy. I think he's made some very smart, accurate business decisions. I have a very difficult time him saying, I mean, look at some of the things that he's done that kind of disproves that theory of, look, if something doesn't work, they've had 9 offensive line coaches in 10 years.
But that's not Chris Grier.
That's the coaching staff.
The coach.
Could it also be a combination of the two? And then saying there is no way Austin Jackson can work. He can't be coached. It can't be done. Fine, I'll find somebody who can do it.
I think with Austin Jackson, he has the athletic ability, but for me, it's not there. He's just continue. Same thing with Liam Eichenberg. I give players 3 years, so Liam Eichenberg this is his 3rd year. I like the Liam Eichenberg pick. I don't think they should have traded up for him. But
I think they were desperate for an offensive lineman to work, and this guy had played and allowed no sacks in his 4 years or however many. 4 years at Notre Dame. I think he gave up maybe 1 sack in his entire career at Notre Dame.
But then college and the NFL are 2 different.
I agree.
In college, the defensive line you'll face has maybe 1 NFL player on it, whereas in the NFL you're facing 4 NFL players. It's like you got to take with it what you can, but
a grain of salt.
It bothers me that Caleb McGarry goes back to the Atlanta Falcons, the 8th best tackle in the NFL, goes back to the Atlanta Falcons. He's getting $5.5 million this year. He's getting $12.5 next year, and the Dolphins couldn't make him better off. Like having him at right tackle, we'd be set. I would be talking division winners, but the Dolphins are like, no, we'll see what we got. We'll continue to hope something pans out.
Again, your hopium dealer. Let me tell you. So one of the things I'm talking about this morning or about to get into, and it's a good segue here, is NFL GM rankings. Okay. So NFL.com. And I wanted to go through them, but since you're up here and I only have you for a limited amount of time, I'll kind of fast forward to where I was getting at. So they had him ranked as the 15th best GM in the NFL, right? I said up until a couple of weeks ago, I think he's a top 10 GM because of the trades he's made, his salary cap, things. But then a fan pointed out to me, hey, look, you can't call a GM a top 10 GM if they've never won a playoff game. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I think he's number 11. Okay. Where do you have Chris Grier in your rankings? And do you like Chris Grier?
I think, and I'm one to that the GM and the head coach should coincide. And I think Chris Grier got a lot of opportunities, like a lot of from 2016 till now of okay, we'll give you another shot. Okay, we'll give you another shot. And it was just shot on shot on shot. When the Dolphins went 1-7, I wanted them both fired. I wanted Brian Flores and Chris Grier fired. I didn't care what happened afterwards. You started 1-7. You had a 10-6.
You talking about the year that the tank for Tua year?
No. I'm talking about 2021.
Okay, all right. I was like, what?
They went 10-6 the year before, then they started 1-7. Like, how you should have got better within that offseason. Oh, you're 1-7. I wanted them both fired. And then, they won the games, and then we ended up being 9-8, and everyone's like, oh, And then Brian Flores got fired, and I was like, Chris Grier needs to go with him. You know, they're hand
So
in
you
hand.
were of the mindset that Chris Grier should have been gone, and for the first time, which by the way, just want to throw it out there, that was my mindset too. But AKA we're stuck here, right? And the one thing I can say about him though is I didn't want him to go because I thought he was bad. I wanted him to go because I just wanted a brand new slate with somebody, and more than anything, I think he's really good when it comes to trades. I think he's one of the best manipulators in the league when it comes to trades.
I
look
yes,
at what
100%
he's got.
to that.
And he also manipulates the salary cap like no other. And a big part of that is Brandon Shore being a part of the front office too.
Yeah,
right?
he helps a lot. Yeah.
But even back when what's her face was here, who's part of the NFL now and could potentially be the next commissioner of the league. What's her name? Dawn. I can't think of her name.
It starts with an A. We'll call it Dawn A.
Yes, she was really good with the salary cap too.
She helped.
As a matter of fact, the rumor is that Jennifer Gardner's character in Draft Day is based off of Donna Pointe. That's who it is. Donna Pointe.
And she had to do a lot because we had, if you notice, we had a lot of dead cap around that time period. We had a lot of dead cap. Whereas now with Brandon Shore, we have like no dead cap, which is fantastic. But yeah, she had to do a lot of magic because we had a lot of dead cap.
And when she left, Brandon Shore took over, who was under her tutelage. But it was also Grier who's the one who said, "No, this guy's smart as hell. We need he needs to stay." And so I'm glad about all that, right? Like, but as part of the GM, you have to have talent evaluation. Now, Grier comes from the scouting department. He was director of pro player personnel. If anybody should be good at player scouting, it should be somebody who came from the scouting department. And if that is one of your big knocks, I can see why the fan base is like, dude, come on, man. You've whiffed on some really key draft picks and key important positions of those draft picks. Now, he's also hit too.
Yeah.
Javon Holland, hit. Jalen Phillips, hit. Christian Wilkins, hit.
Minka Fitzpatrick,
hit. Even if it didn't work out for us, and that wasn't his fault, that was Brian Flores' fault. Why it didn't work out. So he hands down has hit on some really great draft picks. But the one thing that he's also done is whiffed on some really bad high draft picks.
Charles Harris.
Yep. Deion Jordan.
Was he
Deion Jordan?
I think he was Deion Jordan.
That might have been his first one he had ever done, if I'm correct, or it was close to it.
Yeah.
We'll give him Deion. And so I agree, but ultimately I do like Grier. And I think he's learned a lot from his mistakes. I think you brought up a very interesting thing about his pride, and it's one that I'm going to think about a little bit more and do some soul searching on. Is Grier being prideful, and is that hurting the Miami Dolphins?
If you hear during training camp that Austin Jackson's struggling and then he still starts, there it is. But if you hear during training camp Austin Jackson's struggling and then they start someone else, then he put his pride aside and he wants to.
Is that putting his pride aside, or is that McDaniel saying you can have him on my roster, but that doesn't mean I have to start him?
It depends on the control that Mike McDaniel had. Brian Flores had complete control of the 53-man roster and complete control of the coaching staff. That's why a lot of people overlook the moves that were made thinking it was Chris Grier, because we got rid of Kyle Van Noy, we got rid of Eric Flowers, we got rid of Humaniora, and all of those moves were we had to eat dead cap. We had to eat guaranteed contracts, which as a GM is the dumbest thing you could do. That was Brian Flores wanting to move on from these guys for whatever reason, and
Grier having to bite his tongue and say, okay, this is what my head coach wants. I think it's stupid, but
with Brian Flores, Chris Grier did whatever he wanted. He would, and that's what the GM does. If you notice that when you listen to Mike McDaniel's interview, everyone was saying offensive line, and he wanted his specialists, he wanted his wide receivers. He made a whole film about it and put tape together on why it'll work. That's what GMs do. GMs sit down with the head coach. What do you need? oh, I need this, and this. GM goes out and get it. But what the GM does is, this is how my offense works. This is the players I need for my offense. GM goes, I'll get them for you. But then the GM does his thing, and I'm not going to overpay for so-and-so. And I'm not. That's why he went into the room and said, hey, I have potential of getting Tyreek Hill. What do you think of that? He didn't trade for him and walk in the room and said, I got Tyreek Hill. If you go back and listen to the interview with Mike McDaniel, he went in and said, I have the option of getting Tyreek Hill. And Mike McDaniel said, do whatever you need to do to get him. And he got him. I have the option to get Jalen Ramsey. What do you think of that? Yes. Go and go. That's how the GM head coach works. So Brian Flores, I need this, and this. But all of a sudden, he can't keep an offensive coordinator. He can't keep an offensive line coach. He can't keep all these things. Got to start putting the puzzle pieces together and see what the problem is. Whereas Mike McDaniel, and again, I'm not comparing them saying one is better than the other. It's just different personalities. Mike McDaniel goes out his second year. If Vic Fangio didn't want to take the year off, he would have been our defense coordinator last year. But his second year goes out and gets the best defensive coordinator.
By the way, I'm so glad that he did, especially hearing his press conference, right? He's like, I got to sit in front of a computer for a full year and watch every team in the NFL and got to do nothing but data analysis for a full year. You're telling me I get the best defensive coordinator or one of the best defensive coordinators after a year off where all he's done is data analysis and looking at the way teams run NFL offenses, defensive schemes are run. Tell me right now we don't have the upper hand, because we do. Point blank, we do. And then to go and get Jalen Ramsey to add to the secondary, who, by the way, was a mess last year with all the injuries. But now Trill Williams hopefully comes back. Cater Kahu has another year under his belt. And I got Xavier Howard, who, yes, regressed last year. But I think a part of the reason he regressed is because he had to be relied on for so much as a veteran, corner, right? It was all the onus was put on him. He's not at that part of his career anymore. He wants to focus on his position and his thing, not the entire secondary. And the onus was kind of put on him. Now he's got Jalen. He doesn't have to worry about everything. He just has to worry about himself. Where last year he had to worry about, all right, are these guys playing in the right position? Are they setting up where they need to in the secondary? The onus was on him. And by the way, another year for Javon Holland to be a leader.
That's what good head coach. And now again, I'm not saying McDaniel's a good head coach, great head coach, and I'm not comparing him, but that's what good head coaches do. Bill Parcells, fantastic defensive coach, knew he needs help with the offensive side, and he goes out and gets one of the best. He even said it. I went out and got one of the best offensive coordinators.
It was Flores' knock. It was Flores' knock.
Because he knew I can just you're the head coach of that side of the ball. Yep. I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm trusting you. Mike McDaniel did the same thing. Vic Fangio is going to run that defense. We got a head coach.
And you won't see at all next year McDaniel going up the sideline to his defensive coordinator and we being able to read mouthing the words, what the are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to see that next year.
Or fix it.
You saw that twice last year.
Effing fix it, I think he said.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. There's no way.
No.
No way. All right. So you tell me when you got to go. Okay.
I get you got 5 minutes. I've been on here for like almost a half hour.
I know. Hit the like button, guys. Dudley Do-Wrong on Clock Blockers.
If you want to talk Dalvin Cook real quick.
Let's talk that was another place, right? Dolphins run it back this year with the entire, backfield.
That's because
Salvin Ahmed and Myles Gaskin's contracts are non-guaranteed, right? So that allows for Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mozart's contracts are, but Myles and Salvin are not.
Barely.
Okay. It's low no matter what it is.
All
right?
four of them.
Yeah. So it allows you, even though there's 4 running backs in the room, by the way, you also have your fullback in Alec Ingold, who played a lot from the tight end last year, by the way. But nonetheless, he's still in that backfield room. It allows you to go out and still get it. And Dalvin Cook, allegedly, it's not even allegedly, it's been confirmed. The Dolphins talked to the Minnesota Vikings to go after him. So they are definitely interested. There's mutual interest by both parties. Now, the rumor is Minnesota could be releasing him because they can't find a good enough trade partner, as in to get the compensation that they want. And they feel if they just release him, they'll get the best compensation a year later. And whatchamacallit? What is it called? The compensation picks.
Comp picks, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about Dalvin Cook?
So first off, yes, I want Dalvin Cook.
I think we all do ultimately.
They re-signed Jeff Wilson, Savon Ahmed, and I think Savon Ahmed was first. They re-signed Jeff Wilson and Myles Gaskin when they couldn't land Dalvin Cook. If you look at the timetable, that's when they were like, all right, Jeff Wilson will bring back. And all together, all four of those running backs, not talking guaranteed money, just their contracts, all four of those running backs this year are making $8 million. All four running backs are making $8 million this year.
And two of them are not guaranteed.
Yes. Gaskin, not guaranteed at all. Savon Ahmed, $500K. You can eat that. It's fine. I said this. So I said this like a week ago or so. I said that don't be surprised, because I know for a fact that the Minnesota Vikings want to get rid of his contract. It's like $14 million. And they probably think that he is worth a first or a second. And that's not how it works, right? Because you have to absorb his $14 million contract. He is rehabbing a shoulder injury, and there's a lot of things. So the trade never went through. So now this is what I'm saying. I say during the draft, and I said this like a week ago, and there's a Twitter channel, Twitter person who kind of said, and I wonder if I'm this source, right? I said about a week ago, too bad you didn't have that song friggin' lined up. About a week ago, I said the Dolphins will, when the third round pick comes, the Dolphins will get a call from Minnesota, and the Dolphins will say to them, we'll send you our third and Cedric Wilson Jr. You send us Dalvin Cook and a fourth, and we'll take on his contract. I said that. And on Twitter today, somebody said, rumor, with the timing of Dolphins' recent signing of free agent wide receiver Chosen Anderson, it's expected that they have found a trade partner for wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr. There have been talks about a potential trade with the Vikings that would send Dalvin Cook and a fourth to Miami for Cedric Wilson and a third. I said this a week ago.
Who wrote that?
NFL notifications, NFL notify. That's their app.
Yeah, they've been 50-50 on stuff, but they have hit on source.
Yeah. Am I a rumor? But I will say this about Dalvin Cook. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury. I think he had the surgery in the beginning of the year.
They did,
and that's why he couldn't be traded during.
Teams are hesitant.
Well, no, it's not even teams are hesitant. That's why he couldn't be traded during free agency, because he wouldn't pass a physical. He still won't pass a physical because he's still rehabbing the shoulder.
Miami can still accept the trade even with a failed physical, though.
But you would wait, right? And the Vikings will save more money. They will save, I think it's $6 million if they cut or trade him now. They can save $9 million
on post June 1st.
And who gets more money after June 1st?
The Dolphins. They get $10 million more.
And from what I'm hearing, the Vikings really
you're so smart.
The Vikings really like that the Texas running back Bijan.
Bijan Robinson. Doug, did you just take math to the NFL and put it together and make 1 + 1 = 2? Because I'm pretty sure that's what you just did.
I'm telling you, if Dalvin Cook doesn't get traded during the draft,
he will get cut.
I'd be surprised if it's not. It seems like, and even Barry Jackson came out and said the Dolphins really like Dalvin Cook, and they wanted to make something.
You think that's a match? You think there's too much smoke to this fire? Like
it's black smoke. It's not even white smoke. It's black. There's something really, really there.
Now, let me just throw this to you, because I know you want to finish the Dalvin Cook. Does Dalvin Cook solve all our issues? Because you still need to address the O-line.
There's certain running backs that can play and can do things behind not great offensive lines. Dalvin Cook didn't have a great offensive line last year with the Vikings. Not saying it was bad. He knows how to run. He's a type of running back that can do that. And then also you have a Dalvin Cook in the backfield. Also, the defense needs to be more aware of Dalvin Cook, which opens up other things. So,
does getting Dalvin Cook allow? Does that also give you credence or precedence to McDaniel running the ball more this upcoming season? That we all think.
I hope so. I think regardless if Dalvin Cook came to this team, I think the fact that Mike McDaniel came out in the owners meeting and addressed the fact that he knows I abandoned the run a little too quick at certain points.
He did.
I think we'll stick with it. Again, I was very critical of Mike McDaniel. I was very critical of his time management, his abandoning the run.
All first-year rookie head coach mistakes, though.
Exactly. I was very critical. I was very critical, and this is what always makes me laugh, right? I see Pete in the comment section. I see Scott. I see all these guys who call me too near, part of cult, yada, yada. But they want to ignore me being extremely critical of Tua. The Baltimore Ravens game, I went back last night because I was like, let me reminisce. I went back last night and I watched my recap of the Baltimore Ravens game. I had people in the comment section telling me, why are you being so negative? You're really blaming Tua for those 2 interceptions? I can't believe you would do that. But
but you're a Tua-neer.
I'm a Tua-neer. I got on him.
Dare you say anything bad about
the Chargers game, for the second half of the Packers game? I said week 1 against the New England Patriots that the Dolphins beat. Go back and watch the recap. Word for word, out of my mouth. I said, if Tua keeps playing like this, we won't win games. We won that game. And I said out of my mouth, if Tua keeps playing like this, we won't win games. But I'm part of Tua-neer. No, it's called being objective and seeing the good and the bad and talking about them both equally, not harping on the bad. So
last question I have. Last question I have for you, bud, before you get out of here. Go be parent of the year while you're neglecting your child on my show. I love it.
I can't believe you.
I know.
You owe me child support, you SOB.
If people only knew how we talk to each other behind closed doors.
I got a potty mouth, an absolute potty mouth. What's up?
Love it. Last question I have for you. How do we, as YouTubers, as streamers, as content creators, go to fans, and some fans will call us haters, some fans will call us Tua-neers. How do we deal with, hey, I'm trying to be objective, but yes, I look at the brighter side more than I look at the bad side, or, I can say 15 great things, but as long as I say one, I am being objective. I'm being fair to the situation. I just want to I get labeled as, Steven, you're always a glass half full kind of guy. You're always looking at the brighter things. You're hopium dealer, whatever it is. And I don't ever get looked at that I call out the negative, which I think is BS, because I think I do. How do we as YouTubers, as streamers, kind of fight that or battle that on a day in, day out basis? And not just for me or you, but just anybody who does content creation in the Dolphins.
There's like Pete, right? Let's take Pete, for instance. Pete has his thoughts, his opinions.
His gas station attendant.
That comment's funny. But everyone's allowed to have their thoughts and their opinions. Everyone's allowed to have their objective, whatever, right? As content creators and as people that of what we do, I ignore people who ignore the things I say, right? And I Scott Jackson, Pete, there's a list of people that I have conversations with. They will ignore what I say and they will only harp on certain things I say, and I will have full-blown conversations. I love talking to everyone and anyone in the comment section. But I could talk about how Tua struggled and Tua did this bad and Tua did that bad. But man, that touchdown pass that he had, that was a thing of beauty. He put that ball. See, Doug, why do you got? See what I'm saying? 90% of my video can be about Tua missing reads and Tua.
Let's stop lying to ourselves. It's all TD's fans that come onto our channel that just say that how wrong we are and how
it's because he sends them. TD sends them. TD doesn't like us.
TD hates us. That's what it is. TD absolutely hates us.
Listen here, you tall, lanky SOB. And I was like, TD. He said, you zip the lip. I got something to say to you.
I got something to say to you
through the phone. And I was like, TD. No.
TD's like the Mandalorian. This is the way.
This is the way. And if you don't follow this way, I'm going to. And I cried.
TD's running a cult over there, and he's just trying to get all the people.
When TD goes live today, because I'm pretty sure he'll go live.
TD's favorite saying is "Two is a spot thrower." That's his favorite.
Everyone's a spot.
And Josh Rosen is the man.
I want everyone to go on TD's channel when he goes live today and say, "How dare you make Doug cry?" And
how dare you make Doug cry? And how you not? And how do you? And you also say, how do you not allow Steven to come on your channel, but you let CB83 come on your channel? How dare you let CB83 come on your channel and not allow me? Huh?
He's gonna be so confused, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. Literally, go on his channel, everyone, and say, "How dare you make Doug cry?" And he's gonna be so confused. he's gonna text me. Why are people telling me
why are people telling me that I made you cry?
I'm like, because you did. Here,
Pete Stakes said you are an amazing Dolphins content creator. Never forget that, buddy.
I love Pete. I love Scott. I love
Karen from the Miami Sports Music HR department says, Doug, please forward your resume to Karen at Miami Sports Music HR. We would like to discuss a possible opening here at Miami Sports Music. They're trying to replace me already, bro. They're trying to replace me already.
All right, but
I love you, man. You're the man.
An hour.
You did. So shout out to you. And now it'll be another 6 months before I see you again.
Yeah, no, now 12.
What do you do? You know, I'm going to put you on the spot and call you out. What are you doing Friday night for the draft?
I'm going live.
Okay. All right. You know, we should, StreamYard has this dual live thing now.
I don't use StreamYard. What do you new? No. I'll figure out. How about this? I'll figure out how to get my OBS system to have people on, and I won't invite you.
That sounds right. I'll be doing my own live. I don't care about you, Doug. You'll have 700 people, and according to some other content creators, I struggle to get 100 people on my show.
I'm not. See, now I'm leaving. Now nope, not touching that with a 10-foot pole. No, but for real, for the draft, yeah, I'll get you on. We'll chat because it's going to be a hot minute before they get to 51, and then it'll be a hot minute before they get to 70 something.
I'm going to come on live. I'm going to come onto your thing while I'm live on my thing, and that's how we're going to do it.
Inception. All right, bud. Let me go.
I love you, man. You're the man, brother. Go take care of
everyone in the chat, especially people who hate me.
I love you.
Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dudley Do-Wrong. Love that guy. Love that guy. He's pretty awesome. He is pretty awesome. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I didn't get a chance to go over the NFL GM power rankings. Let me do that real quick, and then I'll open up the lines to you guys because I really want to get into it and kind of just break things down from the standpoint of how I see the list and my thoughts on the list. So NFL.com did a power rankings list for the top GMs in the NFL. And they started at 25 because there were some GMs that are just brand new and don't really have a chance to really be graded yet on how they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over just briefly each one of the rankings. And then when we get to Chris Grier, I'll give my thoughts a little bit more in detail. 25, they have George Patton. I think he's probably one of the worst GMs in the NFL for what he did with Russell Wilson and that trade. I think he took a gamble, and that gamble did not pay off. And I think you brought in Sean Payton to kind of hopefully save his career, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. The only way George Patton stays a GM is if Sean Payton becomes the savior there in Denver. But as of this moment, I do think he's one of the worst GMs in the NFL. Nick Cicero of Houston. Look, he had to take over a team that didn't have a lot of future anyway. because of, what Bill O'Brien had to give away. But it'll be interesting because, look, he's hired 3 head coaches in his first 3 years as GM. You can't get away with that and expect to be a decent GM or known as a good GM. So, and by the way, I think Houston will have a new GM in the next couple of years, and I think George Patton and the Denver Broncos will have a new GM in the next couple of years. Carolina Panthers, Scott Fitterer. Look, he arrived during the year of the Matt Rule era. We all saw how that worked out. He brought in Frank Reich, who I thought was I think he's a good players coach. Players do like him. If you ask anybody from Indianapolis, he's a very well-liked coach. I think the book's still out on him. Let's see what he does with the draft picks. Let's see what he does in Carolina. Scott will be an interesting one. Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, the Washington Commanders. They just need to get a quarterback there. If they can get a quarterback there, I think they can be decent. Is Sam Howell the answer there? I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not saying he won't be. It'll be let's see how this year plays out with Sam Howell. We know that they've tried to go after Carson Wentz, didn't work out, in order for Rivera, but if it doesn't work out, you got to remember there's a new owner. If it does not work out this year, Martin Mayhew and Ron Rivera gone, and they will have a clean slate with the new owner, and that new owner will. Here's what I predict will happen. What I predict will happen is there'll be a new name. The Washington Commanders are going to go. I don't think that name's going to stick because Washington fans hate that. And Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew will get fired after a year if this does not work out this year, because the new owner is going to want to come in, put their thumbprint on the organization, and change anything and everything that they can so that any, thing of Daniel Snyder is gone. So my personal opinion of that, I think they won't last either. Terry Fontenette of Atlanta. He paid some money this year for some Jesse Bates, Callis Campbell, Jeff Okuda, Matt Collins is there now. Hot take, I think Atlanta can win the AFC or the NFC South this year. I think Atlanta can win the NFC South. And we'll have to see what happens. They went out and got Tyler Heineke to play quarterback there in Atlanta. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a decent team. And who knows what Desmond Ritter's going to do there, right? Desmond Ritter's the quarterback there. It'll be interesting to see what Atlanta does. But I'm excited for the future of Atlanta. That they should have some good football there. Jacksonville, Trent Baalke. I'll be honest with you. He should be higher up from 20th. I mean, come on, man. That team right now is very interesting team when you look at the scheme of things. Right, Trevor Lawrence is there. He's finally got a coach there that is able to, and Doug Peterson. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see what happens with Jacksonville, but I do believe Trent Baalke should be higher than 20th on the GM list. Personal opinion. Andrew Berry of the Cleveland Browns should not be at 19. He should be lower. Again, he traded the world and gave Deshaun Watson a guaranteed contract. And I don't think he should be up there. I don't think he should be as high as 19. And Cleveland is a wreck of a franchise anyway. And yeah, I'm not impressed by them in any way, shape, or form. Chris Ballard of the Indianapolis Colts. Ballard is the GM, but the owner there has his fingerprint on that franchise more than some owners, a majority of the owners. I don't know what they're doing there. They got rid of some decent players. They got rid of talent. I think they're a franchise that's in transition is the best way I can tell you about the Indianapolis Colts right now. So is Chris Ballard number 18? I don't know. I don't think he should be there. He should be a little bit lower. All right. Jason Light, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Light did come from New England. As a GM, I'd like to see what he does, but look, that's another franchise that is in the middle of a transition. They traded everything and gave up the world for a Super Bowl win. It worked out for them. They got their Super Bowl win. They're happy. But now I could see Tampa Bay losing for the next few years. 100% honest with you. The Devin White, trade request, that's going to be interesting to kind of see where that turns out and how that ends up. Noob says Ballard calls the shots. Irsay's got itchy fingers last year and interjected. Ballard is good GM. He gave in to Reich asking for quarterbacks instead of getting his guy. That's a fair statement, Noob. But again, I do think, again, Irsay does. You even said it yourself. He puts his fingerprint on the franchise a little too much. I don't know. I think Tampa Bay is a transitional franchise. I think, by the way, Trent Baalke is definitely ahead of every single at 19, 18, and 17 so far. Joe Douglas, I hate the Jets. I hate them. Can't stand them. But let me tell you, they make me a little nervous right now, okay? Because I think it's better for the Jets franchise to not get Aaron Rodgers than it would be for them to get him. I think it would be better for the Jets franchise to not get Aaron Rodgers than it would be to get him. I think Aaron Rodgers hurts the Jets franchise 2 to 3 years, if not longer, than it would be for them to ever go get him. So, Joe Douglas of the New York Jets, I like Robert Saleh. He's made some really good draft picks, Joe Douglas. I mean, look, he got Sauce Gardner, right? So, it'll be interesting. And he's got a chance to be a top GM in this league. But all of it depends on what happens with this Aaron Rodgers ordeal. And I'll be honest with you, I think they will have dodged a bullet if the trade does not go through. Personal opinion. Chris Grier, number 15, Miami Dolphins. I'm going to read you what they wrote about him and then give you my thoughts. The hiring of Mike McDaniel and the acquisition of Tyreek Hill has Grier's roller coaster tenure in Miami looking up. The top picks of the 2022 draft class were spent in trades, but the 21 class, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, is good enough to make up for that, right? The Jalen Ramsey trade and David Long signing look like steals, although they are still questions about the O-line, which we all agree. Grier may have lost valuable draft currency because of Miami's tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton, but there's no guarantee he'd still have a job if that plan had somehow come to fruition, with Payton taking over as head coach. So this timeline at this moment is working out pretty well for them. I'll get to the Jalen Ramsey Jalen Hurts stuff here in a minute. Let me finish this, and then I'll get into that, because I do have thoughts on the Jalen Hurts thing. I see that. I'll get to that. Let me finish this. I think it'll be. Do I think that that's pretty accurate? I think it's fair. How about that? I think their outlook about Grier is fair. I like Grier. I am going to think a little bit more about what Doug said. Does Grier allow his pride to get in the way of making better business decisions? To be fair, I don't think I've ever taken into account that he's let his pride get in the way of anything. Because and here's why I think that, right? My proof is he tried to work with Flores. It didn't work out. But he tried to. He tried to give Flores what he wanted. Didn't work out. Every head coach, even Doug said it, every head coach he's gone into, he's tried to open up the door for that head coach to have a say. Maybe this is the first time where a head coach doesn't have a say as much as they have had in the past, and Grier has more of a final say. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting to see. But I think it plays out more that his pride doesn't get in the way because he allows head coaches to have more of a say than most GMs allow head coaches to have a say in things. He's willing to work with others. He wants to work with others. He wants a winning franchise. He has yet to find that person, which, to be fair, that was my knock on Flores, right? Now that's a head coach. That's a different story. I think in order for Grier to be a top 10 GM, he has to win a couple of playoff games this year. And if he does that, he's a top 10 GM, in my opinion. 100%. If it does not work out this year, I think everything's on the table. Grier, McDaniel, Tua, everybody on the table with the X right next to it and pink slips. But 15, I think I have him more at 11 or 12. Let's look who's in front of him on this list, and let me see if I agree with that. Okay? Mickey Loomis of the New Orleans Saints. Mickey Loomis for the New Orleans Saints, okay, had two things going for him during most of his tenure as GM. Number one, Sean Payton. Sean Payton made a lot of the major decisions for the New Orleans Saints over the years. And he had Drew Brees. And they were really good with doing certain things. But I think, in my opinion, Sean Payton seems to be the mastermind of a lot of that stuff. Mickey Loomis had brought in Jeff Ireland. Okay? And Jeff Ireland allegedly was making picks, making moves in that organization. I don't know if I think Mickey Loomis is a better GM than Chris Grier. Right now, they went out and paid for Derek Carr to be the starting quarterback there. Do I think that Mickey Loomis is a better GM than Chris Grier? Probably not. I'm not saying he can't be or he isn't. I'm just saying, in my opinion, let me see how you do without Sean Payton for a few years. Are you putting this organization in a direction to be successful? And at the moment, I think it's one of those transitional teams. They're in a franchise that's in transition. Will it work out for them? Will it won't? It'll be interesting to see. Eric DeCosta of the Baltimore Ravens is most definitely a better GM than Chris Grier. His only and biggest knock on him is he can't draft wide receivers. I think Eric DeCosta, under the tutelage of Ozzie Newsome, I have no problem with them. And it sounds like what they're doing. Now, I will say there's some things I've questioned. $18 million to Odell Beckham. How they're treating Lamar Jackson. But I will say, as a franchise, they stick to their guns. And for the most part, in my opinion, I do think that they have treated all of their quarterbacks very similarly in the past. They've never had a quarterback of the talent of Lamar, but they still won one with Flacco. And Flacco had the best postseason of anybody. Of any quarterback in the history of postseasons, Flacco had the best. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. In that postseason, they won the Super Bowl. Say what you want about Flacco. I believe that DeCosta understands value within players, but I also think what they don't understand or what they're learning is sometimes you got to overpay to keep certain people happy and people that can't be replaced. And at the moment, I don't think Lamar can be replaced for them. So they need to overpay for him. Good, bad, or indifferent. But I think Eric DeCosta is a top 10 GM because of Ozzie Newsome, and that franchise consistently makes good decisions. I think he's definitely a better GM than Grier. Tom Telesco of the Chargers. Let me read what they wrote about Tom. If we're basing this purely on talent that Telesco has brought into the organization, he'd be ranked higher than this. But we also have to point out that he's run personnel department for 10 years and hired 3 head coaches. And the Chargers' record over that time is 79-83 with a 2-3 postseason mark. Despite having quality quarterback play throughout, last year's free agent haul did not fix the team's run defensive problems, in addition to acquiring Khalil Mack. The offseason has been much quieter, probably in anticipation of an extension of Herbert, which this Jalen Hurts situation, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, because these numbers are crazy. I'm reading what you guys are saying in the comments. I'm going to get to the Jalen Hurts stuff. I'm going to tell you how it's a domino effect for the rest of the NFL, and especially the Lamar Jackson case. So just understand that was a domino that just happened in Philadelphia. It doesn't just affect Philadelphia. It affects the entirety of the NFL, and it will eventually affect Tua if he plays the way I hope he plays, and I think he will play this year. Put that in the back of your mind. I'm going to get into that in a minute. I want to finish this. Bill Belichick, the 11th. Bill Belichick not being in the top 10 GMs is asinine. And it is one reason why I cannot take this list seriously. Can't do it. At minimum, he should be 10. Look at what his career has been. I'm not saying his last 3 years have been great. They've sucked. But he's also been a man in search of finding a quarterback to lead his team. But to not put Belichick in the top 10? Are you kidding me? Come on, bro. That's sad. That's disrespectful and sad. I hate the man. I can't stand the team. But I know he should be a top 10 GM. Bill is a coach. He is a coach. He is also the GM. He has made all those decisions over the last 25 years. Okay? He's made all those decisions. No reason that man should not be in the top 10. I get the last 2 or 3 years have not been exceptional, and the last 2 years have been, let's just call, what it is, crappy. But to not be in the top 10, come on. That's horrible. Horrible. Yes, Belichick is a better GM than Chris Grier is. By far. Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. A top shelf talent is close to the top of the league. There are homegrown Hall of Famers after 2 straight years of winning, which has become a rarity in the Jerry Jones's era. It's time to give the front office some credit. Perhaps the increased influence of some personnel. So, timeout. You want me to believe that Jerry Jones, after 2 years of being a decent team, by the way, they can't get to the NFC Championship game to save their lives. Can't get out of the second round of the playoffs. But 2 years of winning, you want me to believe that Jerry Jones is a better GM than Belichick after 25 years of winning? Make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. This list so far, I can't get with. I can't do it so far. John Schneider of Seattle. Yes, I think he's a better GM than Grier. He's won a Super Bowl. He's done some really good things. Him along with Pete Carroll. I think he's a better GM. Brian Gutekunst of the Green Bay Packers. What can he say? That he's been running that team exceptionally well for, I think they should have more Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. But to be fair, I don't necessarily have to say I put all that on the GM. I think that's some of on the coaching. I think some of that's on Aaron. I do think he's a much better GM than Grier. Okay. Brad Holmes of the Detroit Lions. I like what they're doing. Is he a top 10 GM? I want you to remember something. Right now, we have Jerry Jones, John Schneider, and Brian Gutekunst, who have all won playoff games. A couple of them won Super Bowls. And you want me to put the Detroit Lions GM ahead of them currently? I don't know. I think they're on the rise, and I would probably put Brad Holmes in a very similar. But actually, I would probably put Brad Holmes ahead of Grier by 1. So if I said I had him at 11, let me put him at 12, and let me put Brad Holmes at 11. Because I have a very difficult time putting anybody, after somebody said that, it makes sense to me. Can we truly put somebody in the top 10 of GM who has not won a playoff game yet? I don't know if we can. But to be fair, they're going to be a fun team to watch. And they are a fun team to watch. And I think what he's doing there is exceptional. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Les Snead and Sean McVay of the LA Rams. To be number 6 on this list is fair. They've won a Super Bowl. They went out and traded a lot of their future draft picks. They brought in Matt Stafford, and they won a Super Bowl. Good for them, right? Sean McVay, at the end of this past season, took a few days to consider if he was going to leave the team or stay with the team. He decided that he's going to stay. I think Les Snead is a big part of that. I think what they've done over the past few years is exceptional. I will say that I think this is a fair put at 6. But I will also say that this year will depend a lot of the next 2 to 3 years of the Rams. If the Rams have a bad year this year, Sean McVay's gone, and maybe even possibly Les Snead. But I think this is fair for the time being. Snead deserves to get a chance that if McVay leaves to bring in another coach that he wants to do. So I think Snead will be here, but if they have a bad year, McVay's gone. I'm just putting that out there. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and the 49ers 100% should be at 5. They're a really decent football team. They've made a Super Bowl appearance, I believe. They're really good talent evaluators for the most part, even when they miss, they hit. I don't get it. They definitely have some good luck on their side. By the way, I like what the Realist Miami Dolphins YouTube channel says. Thank you for Ramsey, Mr. Snead. Yes, that one is another reason why they might get left out of the building there. I agree with you. But look, I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan at 5 are very accurate. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott at 4. I would probably put John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan above them, but I think what they're doing in Buffalo is decent, But they haven't been able to win the big game. They haven't been. They can't get to the big game, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think they will. That's how I feel. I don't think I'd have him in the top 5 GM. I think I would have him maybe 6. I think I'd have Les Snead above him. I'm going to put Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and the Bills should be in the top 10, but they shouldn't be in the top 5. Should not be in the top 5. Duke Tobin of the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, they had a lot of years with Marvin Lewis, right? And they finally made a Super Bowl. They got the quarterback of their dreams in Joe Burrow. And they obviously saw talent in our former quarterback coach and Zach Taylor, I think is his name. Yeah, right? Coach Taylor. So I think Duke Tobin at 3 again is probably a little too high. Especially being above, I think Les Snead should be above Tobin. Tobin is probably 5, 6 in that range, maybe 5, but I don't think he's top 3 GM in the NFL. I would disagree with that. Brett Viak of the Kansas City Chiefs, yes, 100%. Don't even need to discuss. That man wins Super Bowls. Andy Reid's a big part of that, but they consistently make quality and smart decisions with that franchise, and they win Super Bowls for it. And they are going to keep winning Super Bowls for it, I believe. Hopefully not this year or next year, but nonetheless, I think that they're a really good franchise and they're smart. And Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles. This will be a great transition. Great transition into the Jalen Hurts situation. No team has done. Let me read you what they wrote about Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is number 1 on this list, and they said, and I quote, "No team has done a better job using every avenue of player acquisition, balancing talent needs with the future. The Jalen Hurts pick of 2020 is a great example of forward thinking that changed the entire course of the franchise. The top 3 picks in last year's draft class, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, and Nakobe Dean, mostly had what amounted to redshirt rookie seasons, but players selected in the class before that, Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson, nearly helped the team win the title in 2022. By the way, I pounded on if you go back and look at my draft stuff last year, I said, I don't care who we get. I want Landon Dickerson. I pounded on the table for him last year. Knew that he was going to be good and was pissed off. Dolphins had a chance to get him. They did and did not do it. Landon Dickerson, I knew would be a great talent and was pissed off when we didn't get him. The Eagles are great at self-scouting and spend a premium on line play. Lane Johnson, Jordan Malata, and Josh Sweat, while finding ways to keep the productive longtime veterans like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. Most importantly, Roseman has nailed bringing in players just about to hit the prime, such as A.J. Brown, Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrove, the latter of whom left for San Francisco this offseason. They recognize value, whether that means scooping up James Bradbury late offseason or finding ways to keep him and Darius Slay this time around. Hurts' looming big contract, which we will discuss here in a second, is a testament. It is a testament of Rosen's flexibility, but more importantly, how the front office finds its answers. Look, Jalen Hurts signing this deal is unreal. So it was broke while I was in the middle of doing this. The Eagles and Jalen Hurts, according to Tom Pelissero, has agreed to a term of 5-year, $255 million contract extension. It makes him the highest paid player in the NFL history. Jalen Hurts has now become the highest paid player in NFL history on a 5-year, $250 million deal. It includes $179 million in guarantees and no trade clause. They just changed the entire game. The entire game. A non-winning Super Bowl appearing quarterback. Hasn't won one. Just became the highest paid player in the history of the game. For 5 years? That's crazy. Do I think it's worth it? I don't know. I think it's crazy. But I also, for those of you who say I don't call out things correctly, I nailed this a year and a half ago. I said, here's the thing. I said, this draft class of Burrow, Hurts, Tua, they are going to reap the benefits over the next 2 to 3 years because of a few things. Number one, salary cap over the next 2 years, I said a year and a half ago, going up. Number two, quarterbacks are, you pay for your quarterbacks, and they're going to get non-guaranteed money on shorter contracts. Called all this a year and a half ago on my show. Pounded on it. Insisted that it was going to happen. And I said, this particular draft class, right? Or the last couple of draft class, they are going to, and honestly, it's not like I was, Nostradamus and made some amazing discovery. After Patrick Mahomes got his crazy contract, you knew, hey, look, there's going to be non-winning quarterbacks getting paid. And let me tell you, if Tua Tagovailoa wins any amount of playoff games this year, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, he's going to be up there with that contract. He will be. I'm telling y'all right now, it will happen if he wins any amount of playoff games. If he wins one playoff game, it won't be as high. He wins 2 and gets to the AFC Championship game, he going to get paid. I don't think it'll be 5 years. I think it'll be same numbers, maybe 7 or 8. They'll drag it out more. But best believe Tua's going to get a good contract if he plays decent at all, whether it's with us or somebody else. And I'm telling you, Burrow, all these other people and these contracts, this is a domino effect. You're telling me that Jalen Hurts gets paid better than Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes' contract was crazy. You don't think in 2 years, maybe even a year, Patrick Mahomes is going to go to Kansas City and say, I kind of need to be the best player in the league. That man definitely has pride. Don't think he doesn't. He wants to get paid. That's a fact. $255 million for 5 years. Good for him. You don't think Justin Herbert and Tua are thinking about potential free agent markets next year or re-signing with their current teams? They're just waiting to negotiate contracts. Just waiting. And all they have to do is have good years this year. Both those guys. Just have a good year. You're going to get paid. He's going to get paid. How about if he plays a full effing season? Let us start there. Steven, Tua is not part of the domino. He is at the end of that domino chain because of health concerns. Fair, Vonjo. But to also be fair, Jalen Hurts didn't play every single game last year. Now, it was only 2 he missed, and it wasn't concussion related, if I'm correct. But nonetheless, he didn't play every game either. And he's more of a running quarterback than Tua will ever be. Let Tua have another MVP type season this year. You don't think Tua's going to get the bank? Tua's going to get the bank. And by the way, you can't even get mad at it because that's exactly what quarterbacks do. They get paid. You win games, you get paid. You win games, you get paid. And I fully expect that the 2023 Miami Dolphins will win football games, and it will result in Tua Tagovailoa getting, quote unquote, the bag, cuz the bag. It's going to happen. He's going to get the bag, whether it's here or somewhere else. If he wins games, he will do it. If Tua loves it here, sign the extension. If Tua feels disrespected here, wait till your free agency hits because you're going to get paid. And all this does is help him because you got to remember, let's say Tua does have a good year this year, but we don't make the AFC Championship game. Maybe we lose in the AFC divisional round. I'm just going to give you a scenario, right? Tua has an MVP-type season, doesn't win the MVP, but he has a really, really good season. Maybe misses no more than 2 or 3 games, wins a playoff game, plays really well in the playoff game that we lose. And, obviously we're like, okay, look, it wasn't he wasn't necessarily the reason why we lost, right? It would be in his best interest. It's always in a player's best interest to sign a long-term contract and get guaranteed money up front. But I also think he feels some type of way about how the Dolphins, if we're talking about pride, people want to talk about pride. Come on now. He might say, man, Dolphins, you all tried to screw me a couple times. Now I'm good. Y'all want me to take this hometown discount? You want me to take this deal? My man just got 5 years, $255. Let him get to an AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. If he does do that, you don't think he's going to see Jalen Hurts numbers? Sure is. Because before this year, we were all like, Jalen Hurts is that he's either going to have a great year or he's not. He's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. That was nobody before this year said Jalen Hurts was a top-tier quarterback. They said he has the potential to be a top-tier quarterback. It depends on how this season goes. And he proved everybody wrong, and he got paid for it. He proved everybody wrong and got paid for it. Tua's going to get paid if he does the same thing this year. Mark my words. It will happen. And as a Dolphins fan, you should want it to happen. Because if it does, it means the Dolphins won football games. It does. 100% you want it to happen. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Hit the like button. Donate to the channel. Help the channel grow. Can't grow without your help. I'm going to open up the lines. I'm taking you all on one at a time. I'm only going to be able to take a few of you today, but I want to hear from you. Do you agree with me about the, GM? Do you think that he's probably 12, that there are some people in that top 10 that probably shouldn't be in the top 5? What did you think about the GM situation? The Dalvin Cook, do you think that, like Dudley, that if that happens, oh my God, look out? What are your thoughts about all that? I want to hear from you. Get on. I just put pin the link to the top of the chat. I'm going to bring you all on one at a time. Here we go. Greg, good morning, Greg. How's it going? I hate the Boston Celtics logo.
Good morning, Steven.
I hate that Boston Celtics logo.
We're 15 games away, Steven.
Oh, my God.
From a redemption.
No. You're not beating anybody from the West. Not going to happen, cuz.
There we go.
Not going to happen. What do you want to talk about Dolphin-wise, man?
This made him solid basketball. Well,
Say what? You're breaking up, Greg. You're breaking up real bad.
Are you kidding me? Oh no, my Wi-Fi. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit better, Greg.
I'm gonna have to go back out then.
Your
Right,
Wi-Fi's
go back
bad.
out, go back in.
Yeah, go out and come back in. Hey, I do have a Bills Mafia guy on in the back. I'm just saying, there's a Dolphins fan that wants to come on. I don't want to hear that I brought a Bills Mafia guy when there ain't nobody else up here. Okay? Don't get mad at me for bringing a Bills Mafia guy up here. This is the part of the show where you guys, the fans, come on and you get to talk with me. Going once, going twice. I'm giving you all a shot. Morning, Mark.
Well,
What's up?
Steven, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pad the CLOCKBLOCKERS, money room here. But I brought up a couple of times in the chat. Did anybody read? Did you read the Football Morning in America article by Peter King about the Dolphins, Chris Grier, and draft choices? I want you to read that, in the future instead of me just pontificating about it, which I don't want to do. It's an interesting article. I think you'll find it quite intriguing in relation to your topic today.
I'll have to check it out. I think Peter King's a very interesting guy. He's said some stuff that has been outlandish. He's also, said some stuff that I agree with. So I'll check it out.
Yeah, he makes a very interesting point about the Dolphins drafts in in Chris Grier's time as general manager, not the entire time, but where the future lies for this team because of the lack of draft choices and how capital has been spent on players. I look at fans, and fans are all fanatics, and Larry L really defines that well. But to be very honest with you, for as much as I kind of bag on the Dolphin fans, I'm going to also take a moment to bag on the Bills fans this morning, because I'm reading the Bills webpage. I'm reading the Bills webpage, and it's like everybody's like going batshit over the signing of AJ Klein. The man got cut by the freaking Bears last year. Stop. Just stop. We don't need to hear how AJ Klein is going to be the solution to the lack of the middle linebacker on the Buffalo roster.
To be fair, Mark, nobody really. I'll say this: as far as Bills fans are concerned, they're horrible with their decisions anyway. So if they're arguing about, crappy linebackers to begin with, I mean, come on now. Please don't.
Give me the. Oh my God, AJ Klein's going to be the savior to a team that doesn't have a middle linebacker. Just shut up.
All right, Mark. Anything else before I let you go, bud?
No, Steven, you have a great day, and Dolphin fans, enjoy Chosen Anderson. Have fun with that, and do yourself a favor. Give Cedric Wilson a chance because the kid can play.
Cedric's gone, man. He's as good as gone. All right, Mark. Love you, brother. Be good, man. All right, let me bring on Pete's takes. What's up, Pete? Good morning.
Man, shout out to Mark. Shout out to you, Steven. Thank you for having a great show today. Shout out to DDW. Everything today was great.
And I just want to let everybody know, as soon as a Dolphins fan got in the back, I told Mark, I said, have a nice day, my guy.
Mark was just cooking right now. You heard what he just said?
I got you.
I mean,
I don't want
one of my favorite, even though me and you disagree a lot and we argue. But Mark, man, I got to be honest. Look, Steven, I got to say this, okay? Look, I got a few things to talk about right now, and I'm glad it's me and you up here. But look, Cedric Wilson right now in the New York Giants, he would be a number one wide receiver on that team.
No,
do you agree?
No,
yes, he would. He automatically becomes the number one.
Time out. He would benefit from going up to the Giants. He would definitely get more opportunities there.
There's no receiver in New York better than Cedric Wilson.
There is no world where Cedric Wilson is a number one anywhere.
That's the team. I just showed you the team right there. And there's a possibility you could even say the Houston Texans. He's a number one over there. I
said any Texas-based team, especially one in Dallas-Fort Worth area, would benefit from Cedric Wilson, whether that be Houston
he's a number
or the Cowboys.
You
so
can't
be
say
it.
The same thing about Robbie Anderson. Chosen Anderson.
I can't.
So we're supposed to be happy about Chosen Anderson
and
all his problems that he brought into the locker room.
Let's get something straight.
Just accept the fact that Cedric Wilson is going to be gone? No, that doesn't. Cedric Wilson is the better athlete. He's the better player.
All right, so two things. Number one, when I talked about Chosen Anderson this morning, my thoughts were this is a signing that we did. This is what happened. There are always signings of average to mediocre to average players in every offseason. It happens. You talk about it. You discuss it. You say what the upside is. You say what the downside is. That's all I did this morning. Yes, I pumped him up and said, hey, look, this is an opportunity for a guy who's had some semi-success in the NFL and has an opportunity here. And by the way, we don't need much from him. And what we do need, he has done in the NFL before. So it's not like we're asking him to come in here and be the 1, 2, or even 3 wide receiver. We're asking him to come in here, open up the field when we need to here and there, make 2 to 4 catches a game, and keep his yards per reception up the way he has his entire NFL career, which is above 10. So that's what we're asking for. And I don't think that's me pumping up a player. That's me saying, this is what I'm asking for the guy. That's not me pumping him up.
You're just sitting here acting like Cedric Wilson is not better than Robbie. And that's not the case here. That is not the case. This is a move that honestly feels like we're going backwards.
Oh, my God.
We're getting a lesser talent player. Like, even if Cedric Wilson, he's the better talent, we're only getting a little bit of him. At least we're getting better talent. He is really good. That's what I'm saying, Steven. And we're missing out all because of a contract. No, man. This is a bad management roster put together team.
Why is okay? So here's one thing I will say. We don't know what's going on in that locker room. I will say since McDaniel's coming here off of 1 year, everything's been kind of hush-hush. We don't know the inner workings. You haven't heard, oh, a player said this or a player said that about a player. No, you haven't. The only time it ever happened was when brand new Deshaun Elliott ran his mouth on Twitter and made one comment that I don't think was directed towards Tua in any way. That was it. It's the only thing you've heard since McDaniel's come through this door. So who's to say that Cedric Wilson isn't somebody that's not a great locker room guy? I don't want to cast aspersions on him. I'm not saying that is or isn't the case. But what I'm saying is, hold on. We don't know what he is or is not. And if the Dolphins are wanting to trade him, they have there's a reason for it. Okay, whether that be productivity, locker room, whatever the situation is. We all seen what the red flags are for Chosen Anderson. And I'll say this about McDaniel. I don't think that signing ever would have occurred if McDaniel did not sign off on it. 100% confident that's the case.
Well, I mean, that's fair. At the end of the day, they're still on the roster, right? He's still a Dolphin, so we're actually crying about something that he's still a Dolphin. And there is actually a chance that Robbie Anderson is not even on the team after we cut 53 guys at the end of the year. There's a possibility that happens too. So we're not even going to be – Chosen Anderson might not make the team.
He might not make it. No one ever said that he was. I said we have to see what happens in training camp.
Cedric Wilson feels more like he's a guarantee. And all I'm complaining about is
Cedric Wilson also cost how much?
It doesn't matter about – he's a talented player. That's the thing.
Nobody's denying his talent.
Oh, you want to talk about money? Guess what? I'll tell you what locker room is talking right now. The Philadelphia Eagles locker room. They're celebrating. They're happy. They just got their franchise guy paid.
They did.
Our locker room does not feel that way. Our locker room is full of concerns. These jobs could turn and get lost at any given Sunday because of the quarterback's uncertainties at the position.
You are 100% correct that the Philadelphia Eagles are rejoicing. Nobody's clowning them for paying $255 million to him, the highest paid contract in NFL history. It won't be very soon. Somebody else will get paid more than him. And I guarantee you Lamar Jackson is jumping up and down for joy because he's going to go to the Ravens and say, this guy who hasn't won an MVP, yes, he did make it to a Super Bowl, but hasn't won an MVP, we can say that we have very similar, if not, better numbers. I should be getting paid. He's not going to get paid what Jalen Hurts has after missing 8 games each the last 2 years, but it does help his cause to get the money that he's asking for. But every quarterback is going to benefit from the Jalen Hurts signing today. Every quarterback will, 100%. And as far as the Dolphins
how about our quarterback? How about
I was going to get to that. So the Dolphins are sitting here and saying, hey, look, Tua, this is what you need to do. You saw what Jalen Hurts did last year. Here we go. Let's go. I'm telling you right now, the Dolphins This is the year for Tua. Now, I know we've all said that the last couple of years, but to be fair, this is his second consecutive year with the same playbook, same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same wide receivers, same backfield. How much does he really have to learn? All he needs to do is improve on what he did the year prior. He hasn't had to do that yet. Huh?
He's never had that in his entire career.
His entire career, he's never had that.
Never. Never had continuity in an offense back to back.
Nope.
This could possibly be very good for Tua.
I've been screaming to the top of my lungs and preaching that for the last several weeks.
He's gonna automatically know the language. He's gonna know the signals. He's gonna learn. He probably knows the whole playbook by now.
He probably does. All right, Pete. I got somebody else in the back room, brother. I love you, man. Keep have a blessed day. Keep telling the world your conspiracy theories. And Skylar Thompson is going to be the number 3 this year. Mike White's going to be the number 2.
He's saving the season, and we all know it. That's the beauty of it. Have a good day, Steve.
I love you, brother. Be good. All right, Fins for Life. Good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing, my brother?
Pretty good, man. Welcome to the show. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just gonna give you a little insight on Chosen Anderson.
I'm all ear, buddy.
The man is a bona fide starter. He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons.
He's had one 1,000-yard season, but the second year he was at like 976 yards. So you can round up if you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying he's proved it. Like and my whole thing is he can stretch the field. He's a big. So when he's out there with Waddle and Tyreek, you still have 3 speedsters. You could throw Waddle in the slot. You could even put Tyreek in the slot. There's so many different things you could do with him on the field.
Fins for Life. This morning, for those of you who missed the beginning of my show or when I was talking about Chosen Anderson, I said I wanted to Chosen Anderson's numbers in his history, and he averages over, I think it was 14.9, 15.0, 15.0, and I'm trying to go based off memory. And then 11.5 or 11 or 12, and then 11.5, and then 9.8, and then he was above 10 again last year, right? These are yards per reception on average each year he's been in the league. I said, man, that sounds very familiar to a quarterback who had the highest yards per throw last year, right? And led the league in it. And so he fits right into I guarantee you that's kind of what McDaniel looked at. He said, hold up. This guy can get separation. He can make some plays. Let's go. Right. And so I'm telling you right now, we are not looking for somebody to be the 1 or 2. I think Berrios honestly wraps up the 3. We are looking for a guy at minimum. If he makes 2 to 4 catches per game and gets a touchdown 1 every 3 games, 1 every 4 games, we're going to be happy with that production out of that position. And there's an opportunity, to your credit, that he could get more than that because he's done that in the NFL. So that it's low risk, high reward, super high reward.
I agree.
So I think it's a great signing. I'm not saying he's a great player. I'm not even saying he's going to make the team. I'm just telling you, I think it's a great signing for the Dolphins. And I think, and if I don't want to be on April 17th. Yeah, this guy's going to make the team, but something in my heart tells me he's probably going to make the team. As long as he doesn't do something stupid off the field or in the locker room. But I think he's low risk, high reward.
Yeah, that's the concern.
And you don't even need the high reward for it to be a successful signing. You just need the bare minimum from him.
Yeah, and McDaniel, it was such a weird signing, like the time it happened. You know what I mean? It's like McDaniel must really like this kid as well. And what I like is he's already done it. I mean, it's not easy to go grab a 1,000-yard receiver.
100%.
I don't think Cedric Wilson he's had good games, but he hasn't had good seasons.
Well, let's look at Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson is numbers in the NFL. Okay, let's look at that, shall we? All right, Cedric Wilson has been in the league for 4 years. And out of his 4 years, he had 46 yards the first year, 189 yards his second year, 602 yards and 6 touchdowns his third year, which is what allowed him to come to us. And last year he had no touchdowns and 136 yards. But yet he still has people still want him. There's still this Cedric Wilson could be. So you're telling me that I'm not supposed to be happy that the Dolphins got a guy who's had over a 1,000-yard season and a 976-yard season, who has scored touchdowns in this league and who averages over 10 yards a catch. By the way, the average yards per reception is 12.3 for Cedric Wilson. So I'm telling you, the Dolphins got a guy that fits into the scheme of what we're running. And Chosen has a better productivity in the NFL.
Facts.
And has been a number 1.
And he's cheaper.
He's cheaper. He's a hell of a lot cheaper than Cedric Wilson. You want to know why? Because of the off-the-field issues. Allegedly. So yeah. I'm telling you right now, I think it's a great signing. And for those of you clowning on it, you will find anything to clown about. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. And to switch gears a little bit, man, if we could pick up, I know everybody says Dalvin Cook. If we could pick up the Dalvin Cook, that would be so big to this offense of the threat. Because, 3rd and 1, man, it was hard for us to pick up. People won't be honest.
To be fair, Fins for Life, we haven't had a good, since Lusaka Polite, we haven't had a good short yardage back, right?
Yeah.
It was what I was hoping Alec Ingold would have been last year, but that didn't come to fruition, and Alec Ingold played more out of the tight end position, which is why I think they've totally revamped the tight end room with the exception of Durham Smythe and Tanner Connor. Eric Saubert is totally different than any other tight end we've kind of had come through the door here, and I truly believe the Dolphins will get a tight end in the draft, and they'll probably sign another free agent just as a locker room or training camp body that could potentially outside chance make the team. If they'll fit whoever they get as a training camp body could still potentially make the team because they will sign them. Hey, this person can fit our system as a tight end, right? So I don't think the Dolphins are signing people as training camp bodies for the sake of training camp bodies. You're signing people for the training camp to say, hey, can this person play our system? Can they fit into our system? What type of results can they yield? What are their upsides? And so Eric Saubert, who hasn't had any real, productivity in his NFL career with Denver, I think could come over here and not necessarily show the production from yardage or a touchdown standpoint, but definitely from a blocking standpoint. Maybe there's a reason that Alec Ingold had to play a lot out of the tight end position last year because he was a tight end that could block, right? Well, now if we change that total dynamic of the tight end room, and now we have 2 tight ends that can block, because we ran a lot of 2 tight end sets last year, right? I think that you can see Alec Ingold in the backfield in short yardage downs, and maybe he can be that Lusaka Polite that I thought he would be.
And another thing, a lot of people say McDaniels doesn't like to throw to his tight end, but we also don't have a George Kittle. You know what I'm saying? That makes a difference.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we had, a guy that is one of the best tight end receivers in the NFL. I'm gonna call him for what he is, right? Gesicki was one of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL, but there was a problem with Gesicki. 2 of them. He wasn't a true tight end. He was a better slot receiver, and he couldn't block for crap. He couldn't. You know where he ended up? New England. Could Gronk? Could he block? No, he couldn't.
Yeah. He's better than
Gesicki. I'm saying he's better than Gesicki, but he wasn't a great blocker. You didn't have Gronk in there to get blocks. You had Gronk in there for productivity for touchdowns and yards, right? Gesicki, I believe on everything, no matter who the quarterback is. Gesicki will have one of the best years he's had in the last 2 or 3 years. And that's not saying much because we didn't give him any opportunity. We didn't give him a real opportunity to succeed because we just didn't utilize him the way he should have been utilized. But I think ultimately Gesicki's in a much better place for himself. You know, he still plays for a horrible team.
I don't think, Steven, I don't think there's enough footballs to go around.
There isn't. And that's why you bring in somebody like Chosen Anderson, right? He's somebody that isn't all wide receivers are prima donnas at the end of the day, right? But you also have to say that, hey, look, this is what it is when it comes to, you know, the Dolphin, or when it comes to the wide receiving core with the Dolphins, right? It's Tyreek Hill, it's Jalen Waddle. And you know that's who's going to get a majority of the catches. And if you're coming into the wide receiver room here, you got to know you are not the man here. You shut up, you play your role, and you watch greatness happen. And when you do get a chance to play, you come in and you play the best you can for the 5 or 7 snaps you might get in a game, maybe 10 at the most.
And that's the reason I like him, because, like you said, I didn't know he averaged that much yards per catch. That's pretty damn good.
Rashad in NFL Lit is saying that Gronk was a monster run blocker and people don't remember Gronk. I'm not crapping on Gronk. I'm just telling you, Gronk was amazing because of he was a red zone threat. He could push people off and go get the ball. He was one of the best pass catching tight ends in the history of the game. And he was a big guy. He was much bigger than Gesicki was or is. But I do believe that Gesicki is going to flourish in that, you know, in that New England offense, no matter who's playing quarterback.
Who do you think we go in the draft in the second round? Best available, or do you reach
in the second round?
Yeah.
I mean, look, in the second round, I believe that there's 2 things I can see happening, right? And the one thing I think I'm confident in saying is I don't think the Dolphins are going to pick at 51. They're either going to reach up and go after somebody they love, or they're going to trade back, even if it's a spot or 2 or 3 spots, or maybe 11. I don't know, right? I think that the Dolphin, if I was a betting man, which I am not, as you all know, I would say that the Dolphins are not going to be picking at 51. That's my thought. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it makes more sense if they truly love somebody and he's within 5 or 6 spots and they truly want him, then yes, 100% they will. Sal, I'm not saying Sal. Gronk is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best tight ends to ever play. You guys are thinking I'm sitting here talking crap about Gronk. I'm just telling, and by the way, this is my thoughts. You don't have to agree with them. Nobody's crapping on Gronk. I'm telling you what he was. Go look at his numbers. One of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL ever. There's a reason he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Along with Tom Brady being his quarterback and him winning a bunch of rings.
That's what he's going to go down for, is them highlight catches.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Stop arguing with me about a New England Patriot tight end. It's a Dolphins channel, cuz.
Yeah, man.
I think to answer your question, I think they will not draft at 51. I think it'll be more likely that they'll either move up or move back. And my hope is that they move back, still get the player that they want. But if it's for, a great talent and them moving up, I'm not going to be mad at that either. So I just don't think 51 is where they'll draft at.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the draft like I usually do every year, so I don't know if there's an offensive lineman worth moving up for that he can walk right in and start, which it shouldn't be that hard.
Well, when I had Doug Smith on last week, Touchdown with Doug Smith, go check him out. Go check out that episode that he was on. Really great episode.
All right.
There are 2 centers that will be available in that mid to late second round that the Dolphins will be able to go after. Now, the question is, do you move Connor Williams? And I think the fan base is split. Actually, I'll probably say a majority of them are for don't move Connor.
And I say move him. If you can get a starting
I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I would agree with that too. If you can find a better better center, a pure center, somebody who really knows how to play the game, because then all you have to worry about is right tackle at that point. If you can't, and by the way, here's my thought process on that. If you can't get a starting guard in the mid to late second round, but you can get a starting center, go get the starting center and move Connor over to guard. That makes sense to me. That just makes sense.
And if it doesn't, something happens crazy, it doesn't work, you throw Connor back to center.
You throw Connor back there, exactly.
Yeah. That should be the plan.
I think the Dolphins should go after the best offensive lineman available at their first pick. And if they do that, and it's a certified starter, even if it's a center, you do it. And you make that offensive line better.
I don't know why people are so against drafting centers. I mean, do they forget about
they're
Mike
against
Pouncey?
drafting centers because they believe that Connor should, like, why are you going to do that when you have Connor Williams?
Well, we actually have a guard and a center, you know?
I agree. And I'm with it. And then you have Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, the brand new guard, hopefully, or center. And then you have Robert Hunt. You have whoever be right tackle. I mean, come on. And then you get these backups. Bring Brandon Shell back. All for that. Bring DJ Fluker back. All for that.
I think we're in a little better shape than people think, though.
Let's get that straight, you all. Rick Spar. We have a top blocking center. Nobody's denying that he's a great blocker. But you can block from the guard position and you can block from the center position. Yes, he had penalties. Here's the thing. If he didn't lead the league in penalties the last year he played guard, nobody would have a problem with what I'm saying. Not one person would. But because he led the league in penalties, offensive snap penalties, people have a problem with what I'm saying about moving him back to guard.
And Stephen D, here's your pushback.
He was not a great snapper.
Now with a year, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but now I had to get this out. Now with a year of center behind him, I bet that helps you with his penalties.
If he were to move back to guard, I think it would too.
Yes.
I totally think it would. And by the way, I'm not saying that they need to do that in order to be successful. If they have but if the best offensive lineman on the board come draft night in the second round, when we pick is a center over a guard or whatever, you pick the better, you pick the center. You let him play there, you move Connor over to guard.
I agree with you.
Especially if there's a huge drop. If you have two guys at guard and center that are the same kind of talent, then you go with the guard. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you on that. You go with the guard.
I'll give you a name to watch out for, like the 6th round. If we don't get a tight end early, is Shoemaker from Michigan. A lot of people don't like him, but just watch out.
No, there's I've been hearing his name in a lot of Dolphins mock drafts. So we'll have to see. Really? All right, man, let me let you go. I got some other people in the back room, brother. I appreciate you coming on today.
All right, everyone have a blessed day, man. Peace.
Same to you, brother. Be good. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. Guys, hit the like button, donate to the channel, help the channel grow. I can't grow without your help. So if you're able to donate monetarily, please do. It helps. It goes such a long way, even if it's $1. If everybody donated $1 right now, it would go such a long way to help. And hit the like button and share the link. Let people know that we're here. All right. Is this Rashad?
It is I.
What is up, Rashad?
Once again, you are wrong, Stephen.
Okay, I'm here. I'm all ear because I can only hear out of one. So I'm all ear. Talk to me, my guy.
Okay. So we had Connor Williams at center last year, correct?
Yep. Sure did.
And his backup was Dieter, right?
Correct. And Dieter, for all intents and purposes, was going to be the starter after training camp. Like we all thought he was going to be the starter. Okay. Go ahead.
I think we all believe that. So what you're saying is let's draft a center. Well, we can draft a guard, but you're saying let's draft a center.
Timeout. No. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said at the second round, wherever we draft at, if it is a clear-cut starting center on the board, and there's
versus a starting guard?
No. I said if he is above and beyond the best player on the board, you pick the center over the guard. Now, if there's two people, that's a center, that's a guard, and they have similar grading talent, they have similar grades, they're both projected to be starters in the NFL, then you go with the guard, even if the center's rated a little bit higher.
Okay.
But
Okay.
from everything that I've read, there's not going to be a tackle or a guard that can start day one on the board when we get to the mid-second round, which is where we're at.
Well, mid-second round is where the guards start to come off the board. I think there's one interior offensive lineman who's ranked in like the top 40 picks, who's a top 40 draft prospect. The second one is the Voorhees kid. He got hurt.
Voorhees, NFL said almost all centers can play guard. Not every guard can play center. I agree with that statement.
I agree with that. The only problem,
maybe that makes my point even a little bit more, Rashad, where I say you go get the center because you can move him to guard. And you go to Connor and Hem and you say, hey, look, you two, I don't know who's going to be the starting center and I don't know who the starting guard is going to be, but you two are going to play both in the preseason and also in training camp, and you're going to get a lot of snaps. Show me who wants to play, who wants to start.
Okay, Steven. So what I'm getting at is I do believe but from our last few seasons, guards can play center. Centers can play guard. I just get that from the last since Flores has been here. That's where I stand. If we draft a center, I'm still not moving Connor, because what I'm asking that center to do is to give me top 10 center reps. I'm saying let's get rid of a top 10 offensive lineman at this position, move him back to guard.
He is a top 10 blocking center. Every other grade that he had when it comes to snaps, they weren't great.
Snaps is what I understand how important snaps are.
They are big in this offense. And if I'm holding my breath every play, which I was, let's just get that straight.
Steve,
I would rather have a pure center.
At one point in this season, we were the second ranked efficient offense, and that was behind those snaps.
It was.
So I'm okay as long as it's not fumbled. I think we had one fumbled snap all season.
All right. Can we agree two things here? Okay. Can we agree? I'm not saying that you should move Connor Williams. I never said those words. Can you agree to that?
I agree.
Okay. I never said that. I said if you have an opportunity to upgrade a position at draft time, knowing that Connor can play guard, and if there's by far look, there's no doubt about it, this guy's going to start center somewhere, and he's available at 51 or wherever it is that we pick, you go get him. And you still, by the way, at training camp, you say we're going to play you at guard too, and we're going to see which one works better. Because that's your best case scenario, Rashad. If I can get two starting centers and one of them can play guard, I'm doing it all day.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying from jump, whatever position we draft on that offensive line, you're going to guard. I mean, interior offensive line. I'm trying you out at guard. First of all, I know you can play center. If you show that you're a better center than our starting center who was top 10, oh yeah, I'll flip it, no problem.
Flip it all day.
Because the continuity between Connor and Tua,
yep.
Honestly, the center in the offense, and the lack thereof penalties, I do agree that him playing center should help him with his penalties at
Look,
guard.
I'm going to be honest with you. Here's how I feel. At 51 or wherever it is that we pick in the second round, if there's a starting center on the board, the Dolphins should go get him. And by the way, that doesn't mean he'll start at center. I just think that means he can start on the O-line, whether it's at guard or center, to be determined. But I think having a starting center is good for depth purposes. It's good for he can move over to guard and can play the guard, and I think that's how the Dolphins should do it. So I retract my previous statement. I said, look, if there's a center or guard of comparable value on the board, I said you go with the guard over the center. Disagree now. I'm taking that back. If the best offensive lineman on the board is a center, you get the center no matter what, even if there's a comparable guard on the board, because the center brings you more options. And it provides more depth. That God forbid something happens, knock on wood, to Connor, you still got a center that can play.
This is true. That makes sense.
You take the center all day.
I feel you if we're drafting an offensive lineman.
John R., a.k.a. Mountain Man Fishing, I agree with you, buddy. I don't think that I'm whining, but I agree with you. He's going to get better with another year under his belt, Connor Williams. I'm saying all this about Tua. Oh, he's got another year to be. I should give that same energy to Connor Williams. He's going to be.
I think that's how I'm looking at it. If he was top 10, he should be top 5.
That's fair. But I'm still going to say if a center's on the board at 51. If a center on the board is on the board at 51, you go get him. And even if he starts at guard, so be it. And you got a premium backup at the center now, plus a starting guard, all in one guy. You do it all day.
I think my biggest problem is I don't want an offensive lineman at 51. I get everybody else does because they feel like the offensive. Tua may do with.
What do you want to do at 51, Rashad? And by the way, do you think that we're going to be drafting at 51, or do you think we're going to go, or do you think it's more likely we draft up or draft backwards?
I think we'll be drafting at 51. Honestly, I
think we won't.
I mean, it's either we're going to stay at 51,
backwards, but one of the two are going to happen.
We're either staying at 51 or we're moving up in the third round, because that tight end at Penn State, that was projected to go to in the 6th round, he's now projected a 3rd round pick. He's right behind Laporta. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, if we're not drafting a tight end in the 2nd round, we definitely need to move up in the 3rd round and get one. Because I get a lot of people say, oh, yeah, we just want a blocking tight end. That's the offense he runs. That's what he prefers, blocking. I'm sure he will love a tight end that can receive too. If that was the case, we'll just add another tackle and put him in at tight end and call it a day.
So to be fair, I just want you to be clear so I understand you. At 51, who do you want us to draft at position wise?
I'm at tackle now. I mean, not tackle, at tight end now. I was a little bit at linebacker, but now I'm at tight end.
There are quality tight ends in the 3rd round.
There are, but like I said, these tight ends are moving up, and I don't know why.
They are moving up.
I don't know what was said. I don't know what happened at these pro days, but the ones that were 6th, 7th round, they're all top first 4 rounds now. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, like we got to get one, at least one.
I believe so. Here's my thought. I think there's 13 tight ends with a grade 3rd round or higher at this current moment. That number could go up even more as we get closer to draft day. Okay. Right. At tight end position. And there's even quality and decent tight ends in the later round that could be good projects and have low risk, high reward. Right. So to be fair,
check the rankings, Steven. The tight ends are moving. They are moving up the board.
At 51, unless there is a bona fide blocking superstar tight end that can do it all, I'm not drafting a tight end at 51. Not going to do it. And by the way, to CB83's point that he just put in the chat, not everybody needs a tight end. So yes, they're moving up on the draft boards, but that doesn't mean everybody needs a tight end. So my first pick does not need to be a tight end because there's value in it throughout the rest of the draft. There is, but everything else I think is on the table. I'll put it like this. My number one thought is, if I had to give you like percentage of what I think will happen during the draft, I think is 100% chance that the 99, I won't ever say 100, 99.9% chance the Dolphins do not draft a tight end with their first pick. Won't happen. 99
something.
Okay. Number 2 percentage. I think it's a 75% chance the Dolphins first pick will not be at 51. Whether it'll be higher or lower, that's to be determined. But I think they move from 51.
You can say that too. Not all these things are possible, and I can't bang my hand on the table.
I think 100% don't draft the tight end with their first pick, and I think 75% chance that the Dolphins move from 51. Whether it's moving up or moving backwards, I don't know, but I believe that that'll be the case. That's what I feel about draft night. And by the way, draft night on Friday night, it's going to be fun as hell to watch because there's going to be a lot of good quality players, and we have an opportunity to jump back into it. We have an opportunity to jump up. We have an opportunity to move more draft picks. We have a couple of players that can get moved. It can all happen come that second night of the draft, and it's Dolphin fans. Like, by the way, Clock Blockers or Miami Sports Music Podcast Network, Friday night, rounds 2 and 3, I will be live. And I will have special guests on throughout the entire evening. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you're here. Turn off NFL Network. Turn off ESPN sound. Turn on you can watch them, but turn off the sound and listen to us the entire night. It's going to be a great time.
I wish I could make it. I unfortunately will be on a flight.
Where are you headed to that Friday night?
Hawaii.
I've never been there. I want to go. Hey, one other thing I didn't get a chance to talk about real quick, and it looks like you'll be the last person on the show today, unless somebody comes in last second. I'll say this: it was announced this weekend that Christian Wilkins and the Dolphins are negotiating on a deal, and that's a big deal. And I'm pretty excited and pumped up about that. I think it's going to be dope.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it's going to be great for both teams.
When do you see Christian Wilkins? How much money you got him taking? Because this was a discussion on Twitter, the Twitter chat.
What is he worth, and what will he take? Are two different things. What will he take? Is the question.
What will he take? What's his guarantee? No. I don't even care about guarantees. What is his contract looking like right now? After this, Jeffrey Simmons.
What did Jeff Simmons get?
I think it was close to 24 million a season or something like that.
Look, Christian Wilkins is probably worth anywhere from 19 to 24 million, right? And I think his upside is more than Jeffrey Simmons is. Let's just get that straight, right? So,
really,
I think though that the Dolphins will play it out longer, and so he'll probably get 15 to 16 million a year. And they'll make a lot of that money into a signing bonus, so it makes it out that the cap hit is a very cap-friendly cap hit for us. Yeah. So he'll get a huge signing bonus, humongous signing bonus. He'll get good guaranteed money.
17 and 19.
Yeah, it'll be a big signing bonus for him. I think it'll be very cap-friendly for us when it's all said and done because he wants to win a Super Bowl. He understands what we're trying to do here, but he wants to get paid. And we all know that Chris Grier and Brandon Shore can make sure that the guy gets paid and it's cap friendly.
And also, Quentin Williams is, I don't know if you talked about that, but he's also saying he's not playing under his 5th year. He wants an extension now. So that could also.
You can demand all you want. And in April, a lot of players do demand it.
Yeah. I think that will also.
But come training camp time when they don't have that guarantee, somebody's got to fold. You got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them.
Christian Wilkins might want to get his money before Quentin get his, because if Quentin goes for 22 million, ain't no way Christian is getting.
Well, again, this goes to the Jalen Hurts contract this morning, right? So. Jalen Hurts just changed the entire game of the NFL. He did. 5 years, 255 million.
That's about right.
No, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. And by the way, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't necessarily think Jalen Hurts would be the one to hit the first domino effect, but I knew all these quarterbacks' numbers would move up, right? And I look at it, Rashad, and I think to myself, and I say, what a wonderful. No, I say if you're a quarterback, you're definitely saying that. But I think in general, when quarterbacks salaries move up. So does everybody else, unless you're at the running back position, because for some reason they don't get paid, right?
They're dropping now. Yeah.
100%, right? And you go back and look at the Jerome Baker contract for the Dolphins, and you say, man, he got paid a lot of money. And, granted, he was the highest paid tackler, but you look at his productivity compared to the rest of the NFL's highest tacklers, he was at the bottom, right? And you say, what is a player worth X, Y, or Z? Christian Wilkins is worth $20 million a year, according to how the contract structure works around the NFL and positions. The Dolphins will make it that it's not that as far as a cap hit's concerned. He's worth that, though.
Yeah, he's definitely
worth it. He doesn't have the sacks. Nobody cares. The man gets hits in the backfield. Christian Wilkins is one of the top defensive tackles in the entire NFL.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But yeah, it's the pressures and the tackles for loss do matter. It's I don't know. I just think that as Dolphin fans, we know what he brings.
Yeah.
Because we're fans. But we're ignoring like the production of all these other we the production of players because they're just getting sacks, not the tackles.
Last thing, and then I'm going to let you go. Contract salaries are going to go up. The NFL salary cap over the next 2 years is going to go up. And a lot of it stems from the new TV deal with YouTube. And it also stems from, just everything is just the world, right? Like everything's getting higher, everything, like prices, everything, milk, you name it. And NFL is also a part of that wheel. That's things are going to increase. And you look around the Dolphins and you say, okay, hey, look, the Dolphins are in the standpoint. This is what they're going to do. I believe that the Dolphins, when it's all said and done, will have to pay Tua. And I hope that they do, because it means Tua did what he needed to do in order to get paid. And I also think that the Dolphins are going to be fine, even if that happens, because Brandon Shore and Chris Grier are manipulators of the salary cap. If it doesn't happen, then to Dudley Do-Wrong's point, everybody's gone. Everybody is, if it does not happen. So we as Dolphin fans want Tua to get paid, because that means something happened. Something right happened. You should be rooting for Tua to get paid.
I wouldn't say all that.
I would.
I still can't. One season of good health doesn't do it for me.
What did Jalen Hurts just give you? Jalen Hurts just gave you one great, amazing season and got paid the highest paid contract in NFL history.
But he's been healthy though, Steven. He got hurt for a week in the last 3 years.
There were question marks about that man's ability while coming into this season.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's question marks.
I'm not saying that Tua needs to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history or highest paid player in NFL history. But if you don't think for a second that if Tua goes out and kills it this year, that he ain't going to get paid, you're lying to yourself. And you're also, as a fan, you need to be rooting for it, because it means that Tua did what he needed to do for the Dolphins to get to where they needed to go, which is the hope at minimum is AFC Championship game. And let's say if they get Dalvin Cook, you have to probably say the Super Bowl.
Okay, Steven. So a kill it season for Tua would bring about $45 million a season for me. Like, it'd be kind of Daniel Jones-esque. It's you performed, you stay healthy, you get $45 million for me. If I'm going long term,
I said when Tua signs his extension that he would get between, and this is a big gap, but I'm not ready to put anything on it yet. I feel like I'm comfortable with this. It'll be $30 to $45 million, somewhere in that range. Now, with Jalen getting 51, I think that number probably goes up a little bit, right? And that will all depend on how good Tua does this year.
I see. You're thinking strictly Jalen. Jalen having the biggest contract is only going to last Either a couple more months or a season.
You're
Because when
making
Joe
my
Burrow,
point for me because somebody else is going to get the bag, and they're going to keep on changing that out. You do realize
and what I'm saying
you
is,
do realize that if I'm correct in answering, Ryan Tannehill at one point had the highest paid quarterback salary per year.
the biggest contract he had was $40 million a season. I mean, the biggest annual salary was $40 million.
I think he became the highest paid player in the NFL that year when he took that, or at least I think it was a span of like 2 weeks. But whenever he signed the contract, it was at that particular moment the highest paid. So if you don't think that Tua is going to get paid, come on, bro.
No. I don't think Tua touches 50. Nowhere near. Nowhere close to 50.
He would touch 50. I'm just saying he's going to get the bag. He's going to get paid.
To my point is.
And by the way, I'll do you one better. To CB83's point, if Tua plays great and wins the Super Bowl, he's getting a larger contract than Jalen Hurts. That I will guarantee.
Nope.
Yep.
Next season, at the end of the season,
if he wins the Super Bowl, that man's going to get the bag and paid, and he's going to get everything. Yep, he sure will. Hey, Rashad, listen to me.
It's not happening.
Now, if Tua Tagovailoa wins the Miami Dolphins a Super Bowl this year, Tua will become the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL.
He becomes Joe Flacco.
Mark my words. It will happen.
It won't. I promise you it won't.
Don't hope.
He won't. He still won't get. He still won't get more money than Joe Burrow.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Ain't no way he won't get more money than
Tua wins a Super Bowl this year for the Miami Dolphins, he will become the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL, and it will by far and away blow Jalen Hurts numbers out the waters.
Yeah, everybody. I feel you.
I'm not. Mark my words. I can't wait to win the Super Bowl this year and prove you wrong. I can't wait to
everybody in here is listening to this. Y'all remember this, because when we win the Super Bowl and Tua gets his $45 million, he wins the Super Bowl. I give him 49. He gets his $49 million a season. I want you to remember what Steven said. He will become the highest paid quarterback.
He will get paid more than Jalen Hurts. If he wins a Super Bowl,
Jalen Hurts is getting $51 million annually.
Yep. He will get paid.
Tua will get 52. Okay. All right, I'm writing that down right now. Writing that down on my YouTube.
Put it on a sticky note. Put it there. If the Miami Dolphins win the Super Bowl this year with Tua as their starting quarterback, Tua will get paid more than Jalen Hurts per year, annual salary.
Yep. Got it down.
Yep. Okay. I will see you in a year, my friend. I will see you in a year from now. And I can't wait to have this discussion with you again, Rashad, because you know what that means? It means the Miami Dolphins will be Super Bowl champions.
Sure.
And life will be good. And nobody will care who's right and who's wrong, because we'll have a Super Bowl ring.
This is true.
I love you, Rashad. Be good, man.
I'm going to let you go. Yep. Go ahead.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. Clock Blockers. We went into the afternoon, did a little overtime, hit the 3-hour mark. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. It was a lot of fun. I definitely did. I love hanging out with y'all. Y'all are the best fans in the world, and can't do nothing without y'all. Here, I'm gonna change it. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. Clock Blockers. No, I don't like that. There we go. I like this. A little low key. What's up? It's your boy, Stephen D. And this is Miami Sports Music. I hope y'all enjoyed the show today. It was a beautiful one. We had my man, Dudley Do-Wrong. He came out and hung out with us. It was a lot of fun. We talked NFL.com GM power rankings. Will Dalvin Cook be a Miami Dolphin? We discussed on this show of Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami flip-flopping show. Y'all the best. Tomorrow is Hot Take Tuesday. Tuesday, man. I'm hoping to have a special guest on actually to begin the show. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be really cool. It has to do with kicking and Jason Sanders. So we're going to talk. I'm just waiting to hear back confirmation. But my man Nando Talk will be on with me tomorrow. It'll be really, really good. Hot Take Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, it's Wildin' Out Wednesday. Remember, man, every day of the week, we always got something going on here. Victory Monday, Hot Take Tuesday, Wildin' Out Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, and Spread Kindness Friday. It's Clock Blockers. That's what we do. Guys, hit the like button. Hit the like button. If you want to donate to the channel and help the channel grow, it is much appreciated. And honestly, it's the only way that is going to help us grow in the meantime. So do me a huge favor. If you liked the show today in any way, shape, or form, please donate. Even if it's $1 right now, donate to the channel. The Cash App, the PayPal, it's right there in the link. You can use that. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat. But if you guys like the show today, please donate. It helps. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on today. Shout out to everybody that came on. Everybody that was in the chat today. It was a lot of fun. You guys are the best. John D says, great show, Stephen D. I appreciate it, man. It'll be good. Great show coming up tomorrow. It'll be good. Hope you all will be here. I'll be here around 9:15 tomorrow, so make sure you guys are here for it. It'll be a lot of fun. And as always, we try to leave on a great note, and that's hearing this. The #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fins for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time. My intuition told me this. To trust the coach, he holds the gift. He knowing when to go with fits. So we knowing when to switch. This year we got the golden pick. Time to see what that pick about. Bad vibes get sent out. Only fans up in this house. We been waiting, yeah, we been patient. Now it's time to cash out, no discount. Super Bowl, yeah, we in route. I don't know when, but it's close. I don't want to overhype, but I just know I like it. So excited. You gon' know this now. You should know the ride. They say 2 or